We got a hell of a show today, brought to you by Chevy. That is Chevrolet. You go to Chevy.com/EquinoxEV. Check out that link. Check out what this thing looks like because it looks great. It's got product info, lease offers, and amazing deals. And we've got an amazing show, longer. We got a lot to talk about from a one Tiger Woods. We sort of talk about Tiger's chances this week. We get very excited, hyped up about it. And then we find out some Tiger news, gentlemen, in the middle of the show.
We do, yeah. It's a longer show, which is nice. It's nice to just get into the flow of things here. We're in February. Golf season is revving up. We're playing a little bit more golf. I've got the itch again. I feel like the winter blues are gone, and I want to play more. I want to get better. I want to make better scores. So we're all just kind of jacked up for the game that we love. And yeah, Tiger Woods. We find out some insane news at the end of the show. So stick around for that. It's just a great show. We get to voicemails from the gallery. I love hearing your guys' voices. Super Bowl takes, Kendrick Lamar takes. We're talking JailStool, meme coins. Hell of a show today.
It is. An Equinox EV is a hell of a vehicle. It's got the best-in-class 17.7-inch diagonal standard touch screen display. Offers a roomy, no compromises interior with ample cargo room and convenient storage solutions. Chevy.com/Equinox EV. All kinds of information, all kinds of lease offers, all kinds of amazing deals. Let's get to the show. Chevrolet together. Let's drive.
Oh, no.
What? No way.
He just tweeted 1 minute ago.
Foreplay, presented by Barstool Sports. Tiger Woods is back this week. I've got my my crew neck on. This thing's in the rafters of all merchandise sales in the history of golf. So if you're trying to get fired up for yet another Tiger comeback, don't be afraid to grab something. We got Tiger at Torrey Pines. He's won there like 100 times. We're going to go through a lot of that. WMPO week has come and gone. The Super Bowl has come and gone. But what has not come and gone is just about to arrive is a full round of golf with the all-class beef from Barstool, Cody Frankie, and the entire crew, Jersey Jerry. We got everybody. We got Fred. We got all kinds of people in the mix out at Goat Hill Park, sort of a little bit of a cult legend, cult following out of the San Diego, Carlsbad area. That video is coming out later this week. I love just all the reaction. Great teaser of Beef's just first swing ever on camera and a full video with us. So a lot happened. Happy birthday to my brother Kyle. My brother's birthday is on February 10th. So happy birthday to my brothers today as we're recording. But nice to see you fellas. Everybody's back. And in their own spots and out of the desert, which I'm sure you guys are happy about.
Yeah, it was a long week. Waste management's always a fun time, but there's just a lot of energy there. So after a full week of just all that energy, you just kind of get it all taken out of you. You're shaking a lot of hands. There's a lot of viruses going around, a lot of people coughing and sniffling, and a lot of sweaty handshakes, but you get through it. It's a great time. I love Waste Management Week. The merchandise, I think, did really well. We haven't really gotten any update from it, but I think it did really well. A lot of people were in there, so thank you to all the people that supported the brand. We had a ton of merchandise in that tent, so it's very daunting when you walk in for the first time and you realize you have like half of the entire tent is Barstool golf stuff on both sides, men and women. So huge presence and a huge turnout. Yeah, just nice to be back. We had some snow here on Long Island, so like I had to shovel the driveway, which we have a pretty decently big driveway. I don't think there's a worse task to do at your house than shoveling a driveway. It seems endless and like it never gets easier. It actually gets so much harder as you keep going along because you just can't imagine how bad your hips and your back hurt. But I don't know if there's a more rewarding thing to do. You have all this snow, and then all of a sudden at the end of it, you have this amazingly just shoveled driveway and walkway, and you're looking at it and you're looking at your neighbors and you're like, fuck them. I have such a better spot than them right now. Like I can just get this car out with no issues. And that's a good feeling.
You really experienced the spectrum of weather the last couple of days. You went from Arizona where it was 80s, sunny and perfect. And then, I saw it was snowing in New York City. That's the one time, and it's kind of stupid, but like when I miss New York City is because I love a snowy New York City. And I really didn't get to experience it that much when I lived there because it seemed like there was 4 years where it didn't really snow. Now, I always lived in an apartment when I was there, so I didn't have to deal with shoveling. But when I was a kid, growing up in Iowa, I shoveled a lot of snow, and it was my least favorite thing in the world. Because also, I don't know if this is how you do it, but my dad would always want to go out there early to catch. So you're not shoveling layers of snow. You go out there at 4 a.m., you get the first layer, and then it comes down a little bit more and you shovel again later, as opposed to letting it all fall on top of itself. So, the physical act of shoveling mixed with remembering my dad shaking me awake at like 4:30 in the morning, shoveling, it's a bad memory for me because it's physically difficult and I just hate it.
Yeah, we didn't really have the foresight to do the layers. I've done that before, like when I was younger. I feel like a dad usually has that type of way of thinking. I just waited until everything was done, and then it was also compact, and it was actually somewhat starting to melt, so it was even heavier, like that wet snow. So, and then like I said, when it gets down to the driveway, like the end of the driveway by the street where the plow has kind of pushed its snow onto it, that's where the heavy shit is, and that black snow and that dark brown snow, and you're like, and the shovel is fucking. And the worst part is, I got a $3,000 snowblower in my garage that the old owners left me, and I've never once used it because it's just too much. I'm like, I don't know, I gotta get gas.
You gotta get that thing working, dude.
Bro, I got no idea what we get. One
up.
snowstorm a year. It's a beautiful red snowblower that shoots. There's a picture still on it. They still have the instructions on it, and the picture shows snow flying through the air. So I wish I could set that up. I'm probably just too dumb to do it, but yeah, I mean, it does. It just makes you feel like you're doing something though. It is the worst chore, but it feels like you're actually doing something. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I was doing something, and that was good. That I got my heart pumping a little bit. That was nice.
That was a moneymaker for us growing up. Me and my brother, me and a couple buddies would just hop around the neighborhood, house to house, knock on doors, be like, "You want your driveway shoveled?" $20, whatever it was, and we would just hammer those things out. But it's a grind.
Oh,
but yeah! Shout out to everybody who bought merch at the Waste Management. Had a really good time, and Riggs alluded to it earlier, but it was really, sort of the introduction of Beef. We put out the Unnamed show, talked a lot about him. We put out the video of him taking off his hat every time he shakes somebody's hand, which is something he just does. And we got to witness that a million times over the weekend in Scottsdale. So yeah, that video's coming out, and I know people are excited to see Beef play some golf, and they're going to get to be able to do that on this upcoming video. So I'm very excited for that.
Yeah,
he really takes his hat off. That's a real thing. And it was so much so that we noticed it in the beginning. He did it at the Airbnb. He would take his hat off to say goodnight. He'd take his hat off when someone walked into the room. He'd stand up from the couch. And it was just are you doing a bit? It was so outrageous that you had to kind of question it. And then we'd go to the golf course, and it was every single person. And listen, Beef came from Thornberry Creek Country Club in Wichita, wherever the hell he was coming from, Wisconsin.
Green Bay,
right? Green Bay.
Yeah, but it was a town outside of Green Bay or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, this guy has now been thrusted into a world in which now he had a pretty decent following in terms of people knew his videos. He never had his own Instagram that he really promoted. It was always head golf professional of Thornberry Creek Country Club, and that's where he posted his stuff. So it wasn't this celebrity quote unquote aspect to the Beef life. And then all of a sudden he gets thrusted into the Waste Management Phoenix Open, where it's the most people that recognize us in one particular area in the world. You got 20 to 50-year-old male golfers that are just everywhere, that are going crazy. So Beef is now in this world where he's probably been taking his hat off to introduce himself to everybody. Maybe that was 10 people a day. And that'd be a lot, right? To introduce yourself to someone, shaking hands, maybe 10 people a day. I don't know how many people I introduce myself to a day. Today will be 0. Tomorrow I'll be 0. Now all of a sudden you go to the Waste Management Phoenix Open, and it's I think it's 1,000 people a day, right? You think about how many people we're meeting, taking pictures with, saying hi, how's it going? Oh yeah, we love the show. And it's great. We love it. We love to see the people. And I always say, everyone's oh, how does it feel when people say hi to you? I'm well, we do this show twice a week, and we post videos every single week on YouTube. If no one noticed us, we'd be doing something wrong. So I'm actually happy to say hi to people. We're begging people to notice us out there, because we're fucking,
people don't say hi to us.
Everyone's oh, isn't it weird that people know your name? Well, brother, we're putting ourselves out there a lot. You know what I mean? I'm hoping they know my name, because I'm posting a lot of shit. So Cody Frankie's in that world, and he's now taking his hat off if he meets 1,000 people, he's taking his hat off for 1,000 people. Fist bumps. Like we're walking down. There's 100 people around us. Cody Beef. Hat. Puts it back on. Hat. It was exhausting to watch. And I noticed it halfway through like the second day. And I told Trent, I'm like, I'm going to start sniping these videos like from behind his back because like this is an all-time video. And it ended up being like 5 million views on Twitter. And it's just people love Beef. People absolutely love him. And yeah, this video is going to be phenomenal because it's the full crew. This is the new crew we're going to roll with. We obviously have the OGs. We've got Riggs, Trent, and myself. We're always going to be doing our thing. But then there's these other guys that are in this world with us now. Francis, Trent, obviously Beef's now like a full-time foreplay employee, so he'll be with us at every single stop of the way. But you got Francis and Jerry coming in the mix, and like Francis with Beef and like his way of comedy, and Jerry like can't understand anything that's going on. This video at Goat Hill is such a look into like what we got in store for this year. We're not going to stray away from the stuff that, you know, has been the bread and butter. Like we know kind of like the way to keep doing that. Like, you know, we have to stick to who we are, and we do like the golf course reviews and the really good drone shots and the whole entire deal. It's not a complete circus, but you add these guys in and it's just naturally you're going to get the funniest fucking stuff ever. I love it. I love this crew. I think Beef's amazing. This video that's coming out, it's an alternate shot, 2v2v2. The competition's through the roof. There's good shots, there's bad shots. It's great. I love it. So yeah, make sure you check that out on YouTube this week. And yeah, just a great introduction for Beef. Like, nicest guy ever. Couldn't hurt a freaking fly. He's just a gentle giant.
Fits in really well, too. Just with, we stayed the whole week at an Airbnb, me, Frankie, Beef, and all the production guys, and he's just one of the guys. Like, it's not awkward. It doesn't feel weird. He gets it. He's very much, like, into this job that he has now. And, yeah, we went to a ton of dinners. We hung out. We did the ball game with attached to our heads that Frankie brought from his, looked like some holiday party that he had, and Beef was all into that. Like, it's all really good stuff, and I'm really, really glad that he's part of the crew now because I just like hanging out with him, and you know, he does the social stuff with tips and all that, but he's just a great guy in general. So I'm very happy to have him here.
I'm very happy, speaking of dinners, that you guys got to meet the legendary Bob Berg from CMC Design, because that man around this town and around this little, you know, network crew here in North Scottsdale and beyond is one of my favorite people in the world. And him sitting next to Frankie at dinner and the two of you just going back and forth was awesome.
So CMC does all of our head covers and accessories, and so they're huge for us. So like we have some of the highest quality stuff that you can find in golf, especially our space, like the secondary golf market, whatever you want to call it. And the fact that they put that much effort and quality into our stuff is huge. So to meet the guys behind the scenes of it, all the guys that kind of work on it with our merch team, Pilar and Quinn and Allison and all that crew, to see like Bob's at the helm of this thing. He's just an absolute firecracker. I've never in my life imagined that's who's behind making our head covers.
He's a pistol.
I mean, you're talking, he's like 5'0", like older guy wearing like a Barstool crew neck underneath, and underneath he's got like a turtleneck on. He's got the best fit I've ever seen in my entire life. And he just goes 100 miles per hour. Just everything. Every joke, where you from, what are you doing, throwing out curse words, like he just lets it fly, man. I had one of the most fun times I've ever had at a dinner sitting next to that man. It was honestly an honor. Like I didn't really know much about him sitting next to him. When I left, I felt like that was an honor to sit next to that guy.
I agree with that. It is an honor. He's awesome. That crew just crushes it. I know that's a huge week for them too. So I feel, you know, I'm glad they're able to get out with us and the whole dinner and seeing Beef at that dinner, engaging with everybody. He's just the best. So yeah, it was a really, really fun week. So videos coming out. We're just going to keep this train rolling. And
he's great with like a little one-liner joke too, Beef. Like we're walking out at Grimaldi's to have pizza, which was actually a phenomenal spot. Like, you know, we've got to Grimaldi's now in multiple cities. They really deliver no matter where you're at. Like coming from like a snobby New York Italian restaurant owner, like the whole entire deal. Like I'll have Grimaldi's every single day. Like that fucking place really does a good job. And then we're walking out. We're like, oh, anyone thinking about ice cream? And Beef kind of has that smirk on his face. He gets that little twinkle in his eye. He's like, should we go check if they have vanilla? and you're just like, let's fucking go, Beef. Like that's like walking into the fucking White House with the president, man. Like that's fucking.
We'll check if they. We'll check if they have vanilla.
That was great.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So all night there's little things like that, like little smirks. We went and got drinks with them, and someone had an extra shot. I guess someone bought us a shot at that. What's that cool bar we went to, by the way? Roosters.
The Rooster Tavern, baby. The Rooster
Tavern. And Beef sitting at the helm of this table. He's fucking just commanding this table. And everyone's kind of looking around. We all take like a green tea shot. Someone's like, anyone else want this extra one? And I'm like, I'm done. And he kind of looks at me and just winks. He's like, he takes it, pops it back. He had already taken one, pops it back. I'm like, Beef, that was nothing for you, huh? He goes, dropping a bucket. Just fucking, like no problem. Like didn't even flinch, just pop. Like it was Listerine or something. It was just nothing.
Guy's a great hang. He's a great
he's
hang.
The best hang. And that's the biggest part. That's the
it
biggest
is
part.
true.
We got to travel the world with these guys, and you make these acquisitions, or you acquire a new talent, and you're like, all right, it seems like it's going to be good. He's obviously got a great following. He's good. He's a stick. He's a pro. Which, by the way, I'm going to address this. We fucking dogged him on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Our guy Rob is amazing. He's really done great for us, our social media guy, but he absolutely dogged Beef. Beef's first introduction to the world, swinging the golf club. We made this man walk 18 holes with us, no problem, right? He walked 18 holes in the Pro-Am like it's nothing. Beef's a fucking athlete out there, all right? Like I'm just going to say that. That guy didn't complain once. He just gets down that course, no problem. But didn't swing a golf club, didn't even have his golf clubs. We get up to 16, and I had the idea. I'm like, hey, Beef, why don't you take a shot on this? Maybe you stick one to like 2 feet. That thing will go fucking viral. He's like, oh, shit. He's like, I don't even have my clubs. Trent gives him his club. Beef's a big fella, like tall. So who knows? I think he's got extended clubs. Trent takes Trent's club. He's like, I don't even know what the yardage is. No glove, no nothing, no practice swings. We throw the ball down. He hits one. It's like 40 yards short. He had the wrong club in his hand. He's like, he's asking Trent, are these too small? The guy is a golf professional. Wait until you see the video that comes out this week. He's unbelievable. But that's the video that comes out. He hits one like way short, and everyone's like, this guy's a 5? Like, how is this guy a golf professional? That was fucked. So we kind of threw him under the fire there. We dogged him. Like taking your first swing on 16 at the Waste Management. That's not the easiest task. We also watched all the celebrities during the Shot at Glory. I think 50 people went and 40 people missed the green. And they all had played in the Pro-Am earlier that day. So it's like, dude, at the end of the day, that's a tough swing. But I just wanted to get that off my chest because that's been bothering me because I know how good he is. I've watched him. We have a video coming out this week showing how good he is. And I just felt bad for him in that aspect. But yeah, great stuff. Great guy, great hang, great hire. Best hire ever.
Yep.
Beef's phenomenal. All right. The actual tournament, Thomas Dietrich ran away with it. It was, I believe, 9 of the previous 16 Phoenix Opens had gone to a playoff, and I think Brandon was on there talking about saying, we're sort of due for somebody to run away with it. He wins by 7. He birdied the last 4 holes on Sunday. I was kind of thinking, because I was sort of in and out of napping, I was going to go over there. It was the only day I didn't go. I was going to go over there if it got really close down this back 9 stretch, but I just kind of chilled instead. But I was just thinking about golf can go the other direction so quickly. Like Scotty posted a back 9 shocking 41. He was, I believe, 5 over on the back 9. And Thomas Dietrich shoots 4 under on just the last 4 holes himself and ends up winning by 7. So, yeah, he ran away with it. But things can change very quickly. Things can go in any other direction. It's not easy out there with everything. Of course, has plenty of trouble down the stretch. Also got a lot of birdie opportunities, which what makes it very exciting. It's got all the fans and all the kind of extracurriculars. So anything can happen. But it didn't really matter. He was sort of a machine. He went out there and got it done. He had a history of not getting it done. I think he had one that really sticks out where he fired a 77 in the final round. So people were sort of questioning if he could ever win. He hadn't won anywhere since like 2016 on, I think, like the Challenge Tour. Yet he's been very kind of prolific on the DP World Tour and played well. So coming out in this environment and getting it done, not easy. He did it in style, absolutely dominated. Birdie after birdie after birdie to finish. So congrats to him. Very cool to see the family running out on the green. I saw a couple. I think it was McIntyre and another Euro. We're kind of waiting for him on the 18th green. So always a very cool scene. We had Daniel Berger, who's been out for years, really. I think a year and a half he was out with back. He had back injury. Back injuries are just completely debilitating. He finished tied for second. That gets him into the first elevated event that he will play in since he was out with all of his back surgeries. And then Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth finished tied for fourth. He was sort of the ratings guy, the popular player, the PIP player that was really in the mix and needed to come out and start really hot. Never really kind of got it going, but he had a kind of a classic Spieth, incredible par, and I think it was the 11th hole from underneath a bush. He hit a lefty putter and hit a wedge over there tight and made like a little snake of a putt. So Spieth kind of doing Spieth things, but yeah, final round when somebody wins by 7, usually not the most electric thing.
Yeah, no, not the most electric leaderboard, but you did mention Jordan Spieth, and having him involved is important because he does do very odd things like the backhanded putter. It's funny, like we have conversation on this podcast all the time about how can we make golf more interesting? How can we get more eyeballs on it? Is it pace of play? Is it we got to get the talent pool back together? I think that's obviously part of it. But golf is this thing called Jordan Spieth that when he's around, people just want to watch him. And he's transcendent. Like people who really don't follow golf all that closely know who Jordan Spieth is. I think it's because he was such a phenom early on. He won those Masters. Like it's like, holy shit, this guy's 22 years old and he's the next guy. He's like, and everybody's watching. Everybody loves a young phenom player. And he's obviously had a weird career kind of since then. But anytime he's involved still, and now he's 30 years old, he's got 2 kids, he's got a whole family. But even still, when he is involved in something, it is far more interesting. So to add to those conversations, it's like we need all the best, interesting players involved in as many tournaments as we can get. And the healthier Jordan Spieth is, and the more leaderboards that he's on, the more interesting the sport of golf is going to be. That is what this whole tournament pretty much showed me. Congrats to Dietrich. That's great that he won. But having Jordan Spieth emerge again as a guy who might be able to be on a bunch of leaderboards going forward is nothing but good for the game of golf because he might not win all of them. He's probably not going to win all of them, but every once in a while, a couple times a tournament, the camera's going to cut to him and he's going to be under a tree and you're going to be like, what the fuck is happening? And that is good because when he does that, he doesn't make double. He makes a par and it's like, how did he do that? Now that clip's going on social. It's like Jordan Spieth did it again. It's a verb, Spiething, going, it's basically like what Phil Mickelson did before the internet, where it was like he's all over the golf course and somehow he ends up with a good score. So that was my takeaway from this tournament. It's a great tournament, but the more Jordan Spieth can be involved, the better it is for the game of golf, period.
Yeah, congratulations to Dietrich going into 15, 16, 17, and 18 with a lead. We talked about it leading up. That could sway and change a winner in that tournament. The way that they've set up those 4 holes are perfect for the theater. There's a lot of water. There's a lot of drivable holes. There's a lot of eagleable holes. You can make a hole-in-one on 16. You can get the whole crowd behind you. There's a lot of things that could happen. And for him to go birdie on 15, birdie on 16, birdie on 17, birdie on 18, to absolutely just close the door, that shot on 16, to just throw it to an inch and just fire in a dart, like that's just closing the door, locking up the W. That takes a lot of balls. So shout out to him to doing that. Calm, cool, and collected, coming through like an assassin. And the other takeaway for me is, similar to what you guys are saying, like Jordan Spieth being in the mix is great. And it seems as though it's only, February 10th, but it seems as though that this year will be a little bit more parity in the league as opposed to last year, because guys are starting to play a little better in tournaments that we're seeing than they did last year. You've got Rory McIlroy, you've got Justin Thomas playing good golf, you've got Jordan Spieth playing good golf, you've got Scotty Scheffler's just coming off an injury, but still, he was up and down.
35 under par.
Hideki's playing good golf. So last year was the year of Scotty Scheffler. Is this the year that you're going to see? You think about this with other sports leagues where you're like, oh, that was kind of a down year. Like the big names didn't do it. And then you get years where it's Yankees Dodgers in the World Series and you're like, holy fuck, that's a huge season. I think that we might be in store for a big, big season of golf. I really do. I think that there's a lot of guys. You go into a new season in a sport, you're like, if the guys just stay healthy and they play well, our team can do well. And I'm thinking about that with the PGA Tour now. Like if Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas and you've got Jordan Spieth, these guys can now contend with a Scotty Scheffler. You might see a big name on this leaderboard every single week, and that's what the PGA Tour needs. You can't have those duds. Yes, Dietrich won. He's not the biggest name of all time. He's not even close to the biggest name, but you had guys in the mix that made it worth watching. Until obviously he shut the door in everyone's face. But if we can have that every single week, that's how the PGA Tour succeeds. You need the best players to play the best golf. That's the stupidest, most simple thing that you'll ever say. I'm sure if they put this clip out on Twitter, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, really? Did the best golfers play the best golf?" Like, yeah, but you just need them to show up. You just can't have them be like compilers, or like you need them to actually just stay in like relevant. You can't have the Jordan Spieths that go away for a fucking decade, or the Rory McIlroys that haven't won a major in 11 years. We need these names to start fucking making noise. You got to start making some noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that I think it would be the best thing that could happen if you not only have the best players, but the best players combined with the most popular and exciting players. It's like that is really like the Jordan Spieth example is such a good one. Of I remember when the PIP, the old PIP, came out a couple of weeks ago, and we were almost like a little bit surprised because Spieth hasn't had his best last couple of years. I believe the stat is from 2013 to 2017, he won 11 times, and he's won only twice since then. And so he hasn't been playing his best golf, and he still finishes inside the top 5 in the PIP. So you realize how popular of a player he is. And it's a little bit of everything. He's kind of Phil. He's like the closest thing we have in this generation to Phil, where he hits it a little bit all over the place. His short game is crazy. He's out there talking. He's a little eccentric with that stuff, yet he's phenomenal. I mean, he's won 3 of the 4 major championships. When he did at the Trent Ryan John Deere Classic, when he did win that, he holes out his bunker shot, for Christ's sake, on the last hole. And that's just, he has another instance where he won a big PGA Tour event by holing out a bunker shot, throwing his wedge at Michael. It's like, that's just kind of what he does. And you need more of that. And you're absolutely right. Like, seeing Justin Thomas was up there for a while this week and obviously played well last week. Seeing Jordan Spieth, if we could get more of, if you get Xander and you get Scotty playing as well as they have been, Colin Morikawa, like this almost like cross of the generations too, where Scotty has taken a lot of that out of it by just dominating so much. He won 9 freaking times last year. It's like there's only so many other tournaments that people can win, and a lot of those 9 were elevated events, a major, when all the best players play. But man, it is so true. It's like we got a little bit of a pressure cooker building with Rory winning. Scotty's obviously always going to be a factor to be winning. I mean, he was in second place alone, I think, at one point yesterday, and he's not even feeling like he's playing that well. So if you can throw in, we're going to have Bryson at the majors. You're going to have a couple other live guys. I'm sure they're going to compete at some of the majors. And you get some of these names getting back in there, the JT and the Spieth, and hopefully they can make a charge for the Ryder Cup team. It would be such a rebound in terms of the golf is fractured and there's not going in the right direction in professional golf. Now we've got, we had Brandel himself saying that, after a round of golf with Trump and understanding Yasser, he believes that there's a brighter future and that he's more of a good sort of like fan of the game of golf. And he's going to help the game of golf more than he thought he was going to hurt it. You've got Trump now meeting literally with the tour and with Liv, bringing things together. It's like we could be on a little path here where all of a sudden we might get, not only are the best players playing against each other hopefully more often, but some of the bigger names that have gotten there by being the best players and being charismatic could also reemerge at the top of the game. And we would love to. Some of the leaderboards that you go look at in the Masters tournament from the early 2000s, it was like Tiger Woods, Ernie Els, David Duval, Phil Mickelson, like year after year. Those were guys were in the top 5 coming down the back 9 at the Masters. And it was like, holy fuck, this is the coolest shit ever. It would be great if we got more of that going forward.
Yeah, and Spieth is coming off of like fixing up his wrist, and you got Justin Thomas, who is now kind of beyond that crazy scheduling of having a kid and like his wife becoming pregnant. Like, who knows where his game was at, and like you're setting up for this new life. Now all of a sudden he's like more calm, cool, and collected, and he's ready to go. And it's like a new it's like a new way of thinking for his new season. And you got Rory McIlroy, who was the prince of the PGA Tour, who like now can just like say, fuck that, I'm just going to concentrate on my own game. He had all the rumors going around his personal life. He had a crazy year last year. I just things are really starting to shape up for a great season. And and as more news comes out of more live players being able to participate in the biggest events, that's going to make it even better. So I think last year was a great year. Scotty Scheffler made history. It was awesome to watch. It was great for business. We loved watching it. We loved covering it. Every single week we had something to talk about. I think this year is going to be heavy hitters. every single week there's going to be a big name that has a chance to win. And it felt like for times it was either Sky Scheffler or it was like a nobody last year. And that's kind of like, if it wasn't Scotty, you kind of turned it off. That was just my thought, where it was like, all right, how's Scotty doing? And then whoever would win, it's like, all right, I don't know. Nick Taylor, like I like that's a nice guy, but whatever. I don't really care about it that much. This year, it's like, you got to stick around. It could be anyone.
I agree. I hope it works out. And this week, moving right along, we got Tiger Woods returning. Tiger is about as big a question mark as he's ever been. He's 49 years old at this point. He just had this line that I read in one of the articles was his September microdiscectomy was believed to have been his 6th. So he's just that surgery alone on the back. They don't even know for sure, believed to have been his 6th. He hasn't played an official tournament since July, which was the Open Championship. He only had 5 starts last year. One of them was the Genesis, in which he withdrew and jumped into the paramedics truck due to what they're calling the flu. He did play in the PNC with Charlie that finished second because Bernard Longer, who I've been going back and forth with his team, was doing all kinds of sketchy stuff and playing from forward tees. And he's basically has like glued his putter to his chest, which you're not allowed to have any issue. But anyways, they finished second, so they played pretty well. And TGL, he's actually looked pretty good. I know they got killed the first week, but overall, he's hitting the ball pretty good. Torrey Pines, we were there a couple weeks ago. It's not the hardest walk in the world, but there are points of that golf course where it's a grind. I mean, there are definitely, it's California, baby. So there are little ravines and stuff where you kind of go up and down. And so that's going to be a big factor. And the weather. The weather looks like shit. I was actually supposed to go out to California this week and play a little bit of golf, and we're canceling and rescheduling that because the weather looks like rainy and cold. And that's generally not great for our boy who's on his 6th-ish microdiscectomy surgery. He's got a fused back. He's got an ankle that had to be put back together with like 100 different bone fragments all over the place. So you typically like hot weather where you could be loose and sweaty and the whole deal. And it doesn't look like it's going to be like that. Having said all that, Tiger Woods has won the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines 7 times. He's won the 2008 U.S. Open at Torrey Pines, and he won the 1991 World Junior at Torrey Pines in the 15 to 17-year-old age group, and he was the first 15-year-old to ever win that. So it's Tiger Woods. Not really sure what to expect.
I mean, it's the place with the most Tiger magic. You could argue there's a few of them, but it feels like this is number 1 or number 2. So if something's going to happen, hopefully it happens here. He walked at the PNC. Am I remembering that correctly?
I believe he did. I believe he walked the whole thing.
And he looked good, and he's looked good in TGL. And again, Torrey Pines is just his home in terms of golf. So if he could just go out there opening round and shoot like a 1 or 2 under, really get people going, just sort of be like, oh, this guy can still play some golf. We're at the point now, and we've really gone through quite a cycle with Tiger since we started this podcast. It's like, where are the goalposts? And I have no problem moving the goalposts with Tiger Woods because it just is what it is. Now I'm at the point where when he tees it up at a professional golf tournament, I'm just hoping it goes well and maybe he plays all right. And I think there's nothing wrong with that because if he just plays okay, that stokes the fire. If he's somewhere on a leaderboard somewhere, people are going to get excited about it. And, that's just kind of where I'm at with it. I'm very excited and very interested to see how he plays at Torrey Pines this week. It's going to tell us a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah, well, he's definitely been swinging it well. The physical aspect of it is always going to be a question, but hopefully we can just weather the storm and just figure out a way to get through all 18 holes without any blowups. That's where he needs to get to. He needs to get the consistency back in his game because he flashes it. He flashes the greatness. All these comebacks that he's had over the last year or two after the surgeries and after the accident, you've seen 3 or 4 hole flashes of like, oh my God, this guy can fly the ball further than anyone out there in the whole entire field. He can stick these fucking wedge shots better than anyone else. He's got the best hands of all time. And if you just get the putter hot, he's going to roll in some birdies. And you've seen it. Like he'll go 3 under. There was that one at Riviera, I think it was last year, where he had 5 birdies and 5 bogeys, and he was even after 9. You're like, well, if he can make 5 birdies, this guy can obviously play the golf course to a level in which he can win again. But he has to be able to stay within himself to just stay consistent. You can't have those erratic, just crazy changes on your scorecard. So I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see if he can stay healthy.
1 Reese's Peanut Butter Lovers protein bar and the 1 Hershey's Cookie and Cream protein bar. I had one of these this morning. I'm glad that they're on this show. Played hockey this morning early on the ice at 6 a.m. Bring one of these bad boys with me. I keep them in my fridge. I know we've talked about this before. I keep them in my fridge. So, man, when you just finish skating, you're trying to replenish yourself. You're absolutely out of everything. Nutrients, gas, can't breathe, everything. Bang. We've got 18 grams of protein, only 3 grams of sugar, and they're absolutely delicious. I'm a big cookies and cream fan. I believe Trent's a big Reese's fan. But these things are awesome. They're great for the golf course. They're great for really any time. They're an excellent snack. I brought a couple out last week to the WMPO. Had them in my pocket walking around because, there's concessions, there's media, whatever it might be. When you have the options to get food, you never really know. These, you can just eat them on the go. Things happen fast. These are awesome.
These 1 bars have really been a great addition to my golf bag. Before I go play golf, I throw a couple in there, and then, I remember I have them on the 11th hole or wherever I'm at, and it's such a good little snack just to carry you over for the rest of the round. So get these, buy them at the store, buy them wherever, and then just put a couple in your golf bag. You're going to be happy that you did because you're going to forget about them, and then when you open your bag, boom, there they are, and it's just a great little snack on the golf course.
And the pro move is to not forget about it for too long and throw them in the cooler on the golf cart, because that's the biggest one. You want to make sure that they're not melted, especially in the middle of the summer. Don't make the mistake because they're so good and they're so tasty and they really do give you a lot of energy. But make sure that you keep them nice and firm, nice and cool. Get them in the coolers. At this point, this has become a part of my life, all of your guys' lives. It's at my house, so like I'm waking up. I'm having, if I don't have time for breakfast and I just want to grab and go, I'm grabbing a 1 bar. I'm bringing it in the car with me and I'm ready to go. It feels like I've eaten a full meal. There's something that goes through my body that's like, I'm now solid and I can get going.
Only 3 grams of sugar, yet 18 grams of protein. So they're great. They really are. Buy the new 1 Reese's Peanut Butter Lovers protein bar on Amazon. That's right. These are available on Amazon. Love having a good time out there on the golf course. That's the only reason you're really out there. Yes, you can get caught up grinding. You can get caught up frustrated about all kinds of different things. Fireball is going to help with everything. It's the little nips. You know them. You've seen them. You don't have any cleanup. You don't have any glassware. You don't need any chasers. You don't have to come up with all kinds of different concoctions to make it work. It's incredibly simple. Beverage cart comes by. Buy yourself a handful for the group, or just load them into your bag before, or if you're going skiing, if you're going to a party, if you're going wherever, grab a bunch of the 50 milliliter Fireball shooters. They're going to up the ante. They're going to get everybody excited. These are a no-brainer.
No-brainer. Just makes you feel good, makes you feel like you're having a good time. Really can turn around a bad round is what I've seen. At the end of the day, you have a birdie, you make a birdie, you have a Fireball shot. All is well in the world. You are feeling good. You're ready to go. You're ready to attack the next hole. Not only on the golf course for me, but at the house, I've always got Fireball on me for it whenever I'm hosting a party or an event. Always throwing the nips out of people. It's become like my go-to thing. People know when they come to Frankie's house, they're getting Fireball. Done.
I like that. Fireball's iconic cinnamon flavor tastes fire. It goes down easy, making it the ultimate crowd pleaser. Fireball Birdie Shot Club. That's what we want to talk about, the Birdie Shot Club. So feeling like upping that ante this weekend, at any occasion, grab the new Fireball Birdie Shot Club. It is literally a golf club filled with Fireball nips.
The question that I was thinking of the other day when all this was going on and he announced that he was coming back, and there's been a lot of talk about pace of play and how are you going to make this better? Do you guys think, and I want it on record, I don't think that they should do this, but do you think that they would ever just implement golf carts into professional golf where you take them from the tee box to the fairway? You almost do like cart path only, where like these like long walks, or like the long from the tee to the green, or from the green to the next tee box, whatever it might be. Like, do you think that they will implement golf carts in the future to speed up the game? Because if we want to talk about guys like and their systems and their processes, like you want to really speed up the game, you fucking flash these guys in a motor vehicle from point A to point B, which is what golf is. All of us experience golf with carts. It's not like it's a crazy idea. They sometimes do shuttle them. If they have a playoff hole, they shuttle them from the green all the way to the fucking tee box. Like if they have a long way from the green to the first, from the 10th, or let's say they're playing the back nine from the 18th green to the first tee, they'll shuttle them in golf carts. Like, what's to say that they won't do that more often on the course, and then Tiger Woods can benefit from that? It's just a question, by the way.
It's a thought exercise.
It's a thought exercise.
I don't mind the shuttle system idea. You're never going to get, hit your tee shot, then Tiger gets in a cart, and Patrick Cantlay gets in the cart, and they go together. But a shuttle system where it makes sense, I'm interested in, because there's got to be a bunch of time where it would make way more sense to just get in a cart instead of walk. And I don't know, there's probably each golf course is probably there's different places where a shuttle makes sense. But I think if you do it in the right places, I to the point where I don't even think people would notice if you did it in the right places.
Shuttle every tee to the fairway.
Right. What's wrong with that?
The Champions Tour allows golf carts. I believe there's a few events a year, maybe the majors and like one or two others where they don't. But I believe most events throughout the entire year on the Champions Tour, they're allowed to take golf carts. At the PNC, they take golf carts. Now, I know it's obviously not the same thing, but logistics-wise, as you're speaking of, it's like not crazy to think about. I don't think that they ever would. I mean, I think that I don't think it's a bad idea at all to look at data on slow points of the round and implement this sort of like shuttle system, whatever you want to call it, like we're kind of talking about. I think that would be damn smart. But I think the players would actually push back on something that we haven't even mentioned yet, which is like walking is a part of the rhythm of the round. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I think that there's an element too of like you control your pace when you're walking, you control your thoughts when you're walking. And if you have to hit a shot and then start to almost worry about the hecticness of like which cart am I jumping in, then you're relying on someone else to drive you, which is like maybe you're getting frustrated like I do when somebody else drives a golf cart, as everybody knows. Then you're like, where the fuck's this guy going? And then instead of just kind of controlling your own rhythm, your own breathing, your own pace, I think I could see players pushing back on that. But I could definitely see them looking at pure data and saying, oh, like right here, if we could just improve by shuttling people, because this walk, they got to walk way out to the right, cross a bridge, whatever the hell it might be. And it's kind of in the same way that there are pressure points on a golf course, like on the 17th hole at TBC Scottsdale this last weekend, where groups let the group behind hit their tee shots onto the green and they kind of step off to the back. They do that for almost every group that comes through. So like if your guys hit their tee shot on 17 and then as they're walking up, because that takes 4, 5, 6 minutes, the group in front then comes back to the green and they hit all of their putts. And then as that group that drove it up near the 17th green, they hit their pitches onto the green, they go mark their balls, and then they walk off the back of the green, wave the group up behind, they tee off because most people don't hit the green, but they hit it up somewhere near the green. And then they kind of were doing that over and over again. We watched them all day on Saturday. So I think that's sort of a natural like progression that, right? Like that didn't, I bet in old Tom Morris's day, nobody ever did that. Nobody ever thought of doing that. But at some point in the last 150 years, someone was like, what if we just wave that group up? We're not going to like let them play through. We're going to let them hit while we do this. So I could see a little manipulation, especially because they have those weather vans out there too. Like we noticed it a lot when we were playing Torrey North a couple weeks ago. It's like they have maybe every 3 or 4 holes, they have like 3 giant passenger vans in case there's a lightning, delay or something, and they throw everybody in. So they have the capability to shuttle people around quickly if they need to.
Yeah, I don't really know how often the pace of play is affected by the walking aspect of golf, especially on the PGA Tour. These guys are pretty much tee to fairway, fairway to green. It's pretty quick. Like if you go out there to your local country club and you play on the first, the first tee time on the sheet, and you walk, you could still play that round in like 2.5 hours. Like if you're just straight down the middle, you can just fly. I don't know that the golf cart necessarily makes it that much faster. I'm really trying to grasp at straws to try and get Tiger Woods to play on this tour until he's like 70 and like trying to win tournaments. But no, it's just the more thinking about speed and pace of play and making it better for the viewer. It's like, do they even think about that? I don't know that they ever will. Because now we're talking about shot clocks and whistles, and it's like you're already changing the game a little bit. Why not try and speed it up without doing any of that by the other inventions that we have, which are a cart with wheels and motorized pedals and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's I bet there's no dumb idea, so I bet that it's going to be brought up at some point in the next 25 years by some intern at PGA headquarters, being like, "What about golf carts?
Maybe councilman meeting. Some guy brings that up.
I'm definitely not, because it's a dumb idea. In the year 2025, it's never going to be. I'm just saying, like in 50 years, when we're hopefully you guys still hopefully we're all still cranking, right? God, that's a long time.
50,
85, unlikely.
Right, but like,
for your boy,
are we looking back?
I would say unlikely.
Like we're looking back, right? And you're like,
dude, what?
Oh wow! Like I couldn't even imagine a world where there wasn't golf carts in professional golf. Like, do you think we'll ever look at that? But I don't know. I don't think so. I think they'll preserve the history of it and the tradition.
Yeah.
They seem really the only athletic aspect of it, right? You like walk the golf course. You take that away.
Yeah.
The hobbies talk starts to really rev up.
Really tough. We would really strugh with the old.
This is going to sound stupid, but this is going to sound stupid, but you talk to anybody who, and we've done this. We played in that the women's tournament of champions at Lake Nona. We did that for a couple of years, and you end up playing 4 rounds of golf. And again, it's not the NFL, it's not the NBA, it's not baseball, but you get that Sunday night. Your body, you can't feel a thing. So the walking, tired. You're so tired, and you see people. I think Kira Dixon was talking about, because I think she played in it this year. She was posting about like by day 4, you're dead. And again, it's not the most strenuous sport, but the walking does come into play. You walk a shit ton in golf.
We saw Brian Baumgartner at the Waste Management. He's like, I'm fucking exhausted.
Yeah.
That's like a bigger guy, Kevin from The Office, kind of walking down the golf course all 4 days plus a practice round. Just a lot of stuff going on. It's a lot of walking.
So much. You also talk to anybody who's done one of these trips to a place that's walking only, abandoned or a cabin, or dude, and you're out there. All you're doing is usually too. I mean, you got a caddy carrying your bags. You're not even carrying your bag. You're just out there having a couple cocktails, taking a couple swings, and walking around for 4 days straight, and you're fucking dead. You're like, oh my God, how am I alive right now? You can't feel your calves. You got shin splints. You're exhausted. You got weird soreness in places you never felt it before. And that's just for a couple days. So yeah, it is. It's definitely a factor. It's absolutely a factor.
We're a golf podcast. People who are like, yeah, what do these guys know? We're defending golf as a strenuous sport, because you got to walk 4 days. You got to walk 4 days in a row. It's not easy.
Very strenuous. You got to walk like 6 or 7 practice rounds. You're getting off a flight. It's not easy. Super Bowl 59 occurred. The Eagles absolutely dusted the Chiefs. I think it was 40-22. I think it was at the final, something like that.
Yep.
And that even makes it obviously sound closer than it was. It was never really close. The Eagles dominated every single facet of the game. The Chiefs really didn't get past like half field until it was kind of garbage time. And the Eagles looked like they were just in full control, really, even without like Saquon, busting out or anything. It was just kind of a absolute domination, start to finish. There's a lot of different takes. I'm sure I wouldn't hate hearing from Alex Bush at this point. I know that we kind of spoke about the Chiefs and Bills like it was the Bills just ran into like this classic buzzsaw, and it was a coin flip. They could have got through it. They would have got through it. Super Bowl champs. They lost to a team like they were children playing against absolute grown men, physical athletes. So I'm curious.
I saw Alex taking like victory laps. I thought that it made the Bills look way worse.
This is
Frankie. You don't do that when the Rangers lose.
Well, that's different, right? Because like the Islanders never lose to the Rangers. Like we haven't played in the playoffs in my whole lifetime, right?
So like, love to see it.
But like if the Rangers beat the Islanders every single Eastern Conference championship and then like went on to win Stanley Cups or like lose Stanley Cups, I'd be a way different person today than I would be than you're seeing right now.
Gravy Train was celebrating so much that it felt like a cucking situation where you're watching a team get something done that you can't get done yourself. You're watching the Eagles like, oh yeah, finally somebody beats Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, somebody's beating them. Losing,
that's fine. I'll take
taking
it. It's
legitimate victory laps.
But do you see my point, Alex? Like they are winning though. Like they're a dynasty. Like you're comparing me with the Rangers. The Rangers have the same amount of cups as the Islanders. They haven't won anything in my lifetime. You can't say anything about the Chiefs. You've lost to that team last week. You can't you're their child.
You can't enjoy watching someone lose that you despise.
No, that part You can. It seems as though that you're saying like they're trash, like they don't deserve to be there. Like that's a different thing that you can't say, I don't think, especially as a Bills fan.
I mean, it's more of just enjoying them losing and laughing at it. That's more of what it is than saying they're trash. The only thing I say to saying they're trash was more of like they're not trash. Clearly, is more of like these Patrick Mahomes is the greatest of all time hype in the last 2 weeks that needs to fucking relax.
I guess what I would say is that it would be one thing if it's a historical rivalry based on other factors, right? Like the Rangers and Islanders are historical like rivals because of everything, the proximity, all of that. Like the Bruins, like the Yankees, Red Sox, all that. You guys are like rivals because they beat you every year. So I think it like hurts you.
Yeah,
it
Patrick
only hurts
Mahomes made it a rivalry
like,
because he made it historical because he beats you every time.
Right.
I mean, I know it doesn't matter, but we beat them in the regular season. They beat us in the playoffs. It sucks, but
that MVP
becomes
trophy
a rivalry
doesn't
no
matter.
matter what. Doesn't
No, it does.
I mean,
but I just
yeah,
think
it does. What are you talking about?
No, it does. It does. I think it does. But I'm saying I think that I'm with these guys that like it for you. I would be happier if it was like the Chiefs then went on and like dominated because you're like, God, we are fucking close. We are as close as humanly possible. We can win the Super Bowl. Now it was like you really weren't that close. Like you lost.
We
to that
saw
team.
what happened when a good team plays the Chiefs, and it was the Eagles, and they routed them.
Yeah, right.
We beat them earlier in the year. Like they're a beatable team and just didn't get it done in the playoffs.
Put up the banner, baby. Put that banner up.
No, I'm not putting up a banner. All I'm saying is like one play goes another way. We win that game 2 weeks ago, so I don't care. I was just enjoying them losing because it's fun and it's fun to watch.
There's two ways to go. When your team loses, there's two ways to look at it. And I don't think that one way is right or one way is wrong, but you're definitely taking the route of saying that like we're able to assess what you're doing by saying like you're laughing at them for losing. So we're saying, well, your team lost to that team, so it must be that much worse. You know,
yeah, because they emptied their clip 2 weeks ago.
Well, no,
that's
it's
fine.
just like but that's just not the way that we're looking at it, which is fine. Listen, everyone's allowed to grieve their own ways.
Oh, I agree with what you're saying, but all I'm saying is the Bills lose. The Bills season's over. I'm worrying about watching a game, and I loved watching them lose. That's just what it is. That's what every fan that watches sports is like watching their team win until they're done, and then they can watch the teams they hate lose.
Nobody loves to watch teams lose more than me. I like watching teams lose more than my team winning. I get it. I'm just saying that you're in a tough spot that the team that you enjoy to watch lose only beats your team. So like that, it's just a weird. In all of sports, there's one dominating factor over another, and it's the Chiefs over the Bills. So it's like you can't really punch at them because they're like, you're gone.
It's not punching at them. It's not punching at them. It's just watching them and laughing. It's just enjoying.
I
can laugh.
Like
I can laugh all I want.
They can't even
it's
hear.
fucking
They
hilarious.
can't hear the laughing. They can't hear it. They're on.
I don't care who hears it, bro. I don't care who hears it.
Regardless,
I hear it in my head. That's all that matters.
Regardless, Alex Bush, tough season, and tough ending for the Chiefs. You know, I'd be lying if I said that there wasn't a part of me that wanted to see history last night. I went in thinking that I wanted to see a three-peat. I thought that would be cool. I think Patrick Mahomes, the way that he just goes out there and wins games, is a very, very cool thing to witness in our generation of watching football. But goddamn, did they get their asses beat? I mean, from beginning to end, it honestly started with the Bradley Cooper versus John Hamm kind of send off. Like John Hamm announcing the Chiefs, his voice cracks worse than anyone's voice has ever cracked on national television in front of 130 million people, however many people watch the Super Bowl. And then you got Bradley Cooper for the Eagles. They nail the EAGLES fucking chant. And it's like, oh boy, just the tide had turned right there. It was very, very apparent where the momentum was from kickoff. And they just were relentless, man. Like Mahomes didn't have a second to breathe. That offensive line was getting torched. The best defense I think I've ever seen in my life. Just you didn't have a second to breathe. That's one of the best quarterbacks of all time, regardless of what you want to say, Alex. He is. I mean, the guy's fucking been to the Super Bowl like every year of my adult life at this point. So it's like to make him look like that. How good does that defense have to be? He looked like a chicken with his head off, running around, didn't know where to go.
It was very reminiscent of those Patriots Giants Super Bowls where that defensive line just eats you alive and you don't have a chance. Like Patrick Mahomes didn't have a chance all night long. Like Jalen Hurts outplaying Patrick Mahomes is not something I saw coming. And that once that was evident that was happening because Mahomes had no time, he was scrambling all over the place, running for his life. There was no chance that the Chiefs were going to win. And yeah, Jalen Hurts played great. Saquon had an okay game, but it was really the Eagles defense that won them that game because Mahomes got sacked, 6 times? Is that what it was? Like, that's outrageous. Yeah. Outrageous.
It reminded me of a college football game where one team, right, like the top tier schools simply just recruit bigger, stronger, better athletes at the line of scrimmage. And then no matter how good the other perimeter players are, it doesn't matter. Like if you just don't own the line of scrimmage, it's fucking over. You could just run the ball if you want. You could drop back and have all day to throw the ball if you want. And it's the other way around on the other side, where it's like if you have the best or one of the best quarterbacks that's ever played the game, but he has absolutely no time to throw the ball, then it doesn't matter how good he is. And that's kind of what it looked like the entire fucking game. They just dominated them. They were always in control. Their defense was everywhere. Even when they did complete a pass, it was like they were fucking on them instantly, dragging them down, not missing tackles. Yeah, it was complete domination.
There was like a 10-minute window where I thought my guy, Cooper DeJean, was going to win Super Bowl MVP. When he had that pick six, and my brother had bet it on the DraftKings Sportsbook, put like $20 down to win $4,000. So my brother and I were like, we just need nothing crazy to happen the rest of this football game. Maybe Cooper DeJean gets one more pick. Maybe he runs a punt back, and he's going to be the Super Bowl MVP. Jalen Hurts, obviously, he made that long pass touchdown, so he was going to win it. But there was a window where I was like, Cooper DeJean, Iowa Hawkeye, is going to win Super Bowl MVP. Didn't happen, but I was happy for him regardless.
Jalen also scrambling up the middle. Like their game plan was clearly to shut down Saquon. And they basically did. At one point, they were only averaging like 3.5 yards per rush. So that aspect of the game, the Chiefs did deliver on. You had Spags there with thinking that he solved the Eagles, offense. And all of a sudden you just got Jalen Hurts just running right up the middle because everyone else was worrying about all their other weapons. So that's when Jalen Hurts is at his best. So he's like, all right, I'm just going to do it myself then. I mean, there were multiple times where it was like a 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 4. And you're like, all right, they've stopped the run twice. Are they going to stop him here? And then Jalen just runs for 15 yards for a first down, keeps moving the ball. They end up with 7 points, and then it just starts again. Defense gets the ball back. Jalen gets the ball. Just complete overpowering offense. And yeah, just a really, really boring, methodical game.
Dud.
Just
absolute dud.
I think overall, just the worst Super Bowl ever. Right? I mean, great for Eagles fans, great for Barstool Sports, and make sure you go to the store.barstoolsports.com. Just an absolute huge victory for the Barstool Sports community.
Huge.
And because, Philly's obviously massive. We've got a huge presence. Shout out to Roan, my brother Roan. Very, very happy for him. Max, Fran, the whole entire crew.
Gilly.
Kate, just every single person. Yeah, Gilly, my God, what a run that guy was on. You just got to think that he's going to be starting that parade, basically.
What's this next month going to look like for Gilly? It's going to be crazy.
My God. He was on the field just doing confetti angels. He's been great to follow, and just it's amazing. So we've got a huge Philly presence, so I'm really happy for our crew. And just a dud. And
so here is an open you guys might not be aware of. The IRS is accepting returns. So now is the time to get your refunds, and an easy way is to file with Tax Act. Make tax filing very easy this year, and go to taxact.com to get your taxes over with. They have incredibly easy to use software. As you all know, software can be difficult. It can be complicated. It can be frustrating. TaxAct is incredibly easy to use. They've got a max refund guarantee. So you're out there, you're hoping that you don't leave anything on the table. They've got a max refund guarantee, which is fantastic. And live tax experts when you need help. That's why we're filing with TaxAct this year, boys.
Do this now. Get it done now. TaxAct is going to help you. Don't wait till the last minute to get it done where you're worried about it. You don't have to worry about it because TaxAct is going to help you. They're going to help you now. And you're just going to be done with it. And then you don't have to think about it again. That's a good spot to be.
Yeah, they make it as simple as possible. It's really just the end game there for them. This is why they are a product. They are the experts. They take control of it. You just are along for the ride, and that's how it should be. It's as easy as it can be.
Taxact.com. That's where you need to go. Get your taxes over with. Make filing with taxes very easy this year, and go to taxact.com.
I mean, we'll have to talk about the halftime performance. Just one of the more just stunning halftime performances I'd ever seen. He really just went all in on just being Kendrick Lamar. He didn't do anything for the crowd or the viewers. He was just like, I'm just gonna be Kendrick Lamar out here, which he shouldn't, I guess. I thought that he would bring out like a bunch of different guests and be like, I have to like succumb a little bit to like the average viewer who's watching this thing. But he didn't. He's just like, it's just a Kendrick Lamar concert.
Look,
it's just like, okay, shit.
It's not my type of music. It's not I don't know any of I didn't know any of the Drake stuff until you said it on the podcast last week. I didn't even know that existed. That's just not my world.
That's
so
crazy,
there was about a 0% chance I was going to like it going in. So it wasn't for me, and watching it absolutely wasn't for me, but that doesn't mean it was like bad. I feel like the reaction is like 50-50 from what I'm saying. So far.
Well,
people are like forcefully saying it was good to like combat the people saying it wasn't exciting.
Yeah, I mean,
that's going to be my takeaway. It wasn't I don't think it was bad. He did a good performance. I thought the choreography was cool. I thought that he nailed that's his genre. Like that I thought he did great. It's really hard to like do his style of rap in front of 150 million people. It's just like not that exciting. There's no fireworks going off. There's no rock and roll. There's no fucking guitars being strung. There's no drums. Live performances are live performances for a reason. Like that's why like rock and roll concerts are the biggest things of all time. Like, you go to a Taylor Swift concert, it's like the biggest performance ever. He's just like rapping and it's like mumbling a little bit and the mics were weird. So it's like, yeah, that's great, but he did a good job, but it's not exciting. And that's what the Super Bowl is. That's my takeaway. It wasn't an exciting performance.
No, I don't disagree with that. And it's, we talked about it last week when we were like, what's it going to be like? A lot of people don't know Kendrick Lamar songs. They know who Kendrick Lamar is, but he doesn't have the like big pop hits that are on top of the charts that people are going to be like, oh, I heard this when I was, at a game or when I was at the bar. That's just not his kind of music. He did stay very true to who he is. And that was a very Kendrick Lamar-like performance. Now, I would say the people defending it heavily are probably just happy that he did Not Like Us, which I was too. Like, I was like, he has to do that song. If he doesn't do that song, he just won 5 Grammys for that song. Like, it's the biggest song, certainly in that world. So that the fact that he did that was like, that was at least a saving grace part of it, where it's like, wow, he did the thing. He did the Drake diss song, which people were like, is he going to do it? Is he not? It's extremely baller move. I said that last week. Like, if he ended up doing it, that's such an incredible thing. Like, when he says Drake's name during the Super Bowl performance, he looks right at the camera. Like, that's pretty fucking, for his world and that world and hip hop and what's been going on the past 18 months. That's incredible. But does it save the whole performance for people who are used to the Rolling Stones and Rihanna and, Prince? No. Like, I would agree with those people in that aspect, but it was just a very Kendrick Lamar performance. He was never going to stray away. He brought SZA out. Samuel L. Jackson was there. Those were sort of his people that he brought on for the performance. But no, as soon as it was going on, I was like, people are going to hate this. And I understand why, because a lot of people were like Frankie, where it's like, it's a Super Bowl. Like, we want the hits. We want pop. We want rock and roll. We want all the stuff that we know. And Kendrick Lamar was just never going to do that. So I totally get why there's mixed feelings on it. Totally.
He's massive. So it's not to say that he doesn't have hits. It's just they're not main. And yeah, I hope this doesn't like end up in some weird like Kendrick Lamar universe where like we're gonna get like canceled by them. But it's like,
I like Kendrick Lamar. I think we all.
It's not. Yeah. To me, it's not like they're not radio like across the country bangers, right? Like, that's just a fact. You have to be a Kendrick Lamar fan to really know. And I don't think that has. I see a lot of people being like it's a race thing where it's like it's not. No, I don't think that's the case. Like, obviously at LA, they had Dr. Dre and his whole entire crew out there, and it was like one of the best performances ever. It's just those are massive, massive stars and songs. Every single song, every single beat that drops is similar to the Not Like Us. Like, when he dropped that beat to Not Like Us, the whole stadium erupted because you're like, oh, we know that song. Like, so there's really no, I don't know. It's just to have a Super Bowl based around like a beef is like, that's like that being the draw. Is that like he doesn't like Drake and he's like calling him like things is crazy to me. Like, that's why he was booked. It's nuts. And like everyone watching being like, you better play the Drake Beef song. It's like, is that why he's out there? It's so weird to me.
I think there's a good part. I mean, listen, Kendrick Lamar is an incredibly accomplished hip hop artist.
No
and
doubt.
Just artist in general. He's got everything. Like, he's got a Pulitzer. Like, this guy is unbelievable. But I completely understand what you're saying. Like, flip it. And if Drake was out there, everybody would know every single song that he played
100%.
because he's fucking Drake. Drake has the most hits of all time. So that's just what it boils down to. The Super Bowl boils down to hits. And for whatever reason, the NFL and the Super Bowl, and somebody said that Jay-Z sort of makes the decisions on who performs. I don't know if that's true or not. But
that's crazy.
He just doesn't have like the hits. I don't think anybody can argue that. Like, everyone
that's just like the way the world works. Like, we just know what the hits are, and there's no weird
literally
like politics that go into it. Right. There's just like there's a thing that like we just all know. It's like the eye test. It's the ear test. You're like, oh yeah, that's obviously a fucking hit. And like there's guys that just like have hits. I don't know. It's just it was just weird. It was weird that that's like who was on the Super Bowl. I had heard that like Miley Cyrus was maybe being looked at to do it before Kendrick, and like those are songs.
Oh yeah,
where it's
Miley,
like she comes out there, and like party in the USA,
right.
And everyone's like, oh, like you just like want like a white girl to be up there, where it's like that's not really what it's about. It's just fucking music.
That's just Twitter. Right. It's not a race thing. It's
right.
It's just, you know, I like Kendrick Lamar, and I've been a hip hop fan my whole life. I know all about Kendrick Lamar, but I totally understand what people want from a Super Bowl, and it just is what it is. Yeah, it's, you know, nobody's ever going to be happy unless it's somebody's got a million hits. Outside of that, people are going to be pissed.
I think he should be happy. I think he did a good performance. I think like it's as good as he could have done. I think like without going outside of your realm. Like, sure, he could have brought out a million different. He could have brought Taylor Swift for his song "Bad Blood," and the place would have went nuts. But he's like, no, this is just who I am.
Also, this isn't going to make anybody feel better, and it's not going to make my parents know who Kendrick Lamar is. But him doing that last night is an accomplishment. Like playing that song, like as much as people aren't into like they don't know the ins and outs of the beef, whatever. The people that do, that's an incredible thing to do on that stage in that moment. Period.
100%. Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, I get it. If the Beatles had a beef with the Monkees and they got the Super Bowl and they sang a song about the fucking, you know, like the Rolling Stones or something, like one of their competitors at the time, right. And they're like they looked right in the camera and was basically like, fuck the Rolling Stones. The place would have went, fuck, the country would have lost their mind. So 100%. I get that aspect.
They also played All the Stars, which is a banger song from the Black Panther album. That song rules. With SZA.
The Monkees, very underrated band, I feel like, from that era. Hey, we're the Monkees. I listen to them all the time.
Wow, I don't really ever listen to them.
They got great.
Give them a shot.
Give them a shot. They're good. They just make you feel good. They always come up if you play "Here Comes the Sun." You know how like Spotify will, like if you play one song, it'll just hit you with like an algorithm of songs like that. Like, if you play "Here Comes the Sun" by the Beatles, like the Monkees will always get thrown in the mix with that. So it's just like that kind of vibe of like you want to hear something that makes you feel good. By the way, and this will be my last thing about music, I play "Here Comes the Sun" to Hannah's belly like every day, and because like the baby can hear it in there. And I just like something about it is like it makes the hair stand up on the back of my head, like thinking about, you know, a baby developing and they're hearing those notes of the Beatles and John Lennon and George Harrison and Paul McCartney and how they've like that song makes you feel good. You listen to that in the morning, you hear those notes and you hear like the singing coming in and how they're just completely like one. I love it. So yeah, hopefully the baby reacts to it when they come out, because you'll be like, oh shit, you've heard this song for like 9 months.
I do wish I had more of a musical upbringing. Not that I want to play musical instruments, but with music in the house wasn't a huge deal for me when I was growing up. Like I feel like, Frankie, that was a big deal in your house where there's just music all the time. Wasn't really a thing in my household. My parents just didn't play music, which growing up now and meeting so many people and talking to Frankie, it's like, it's a big deal in the house.
Dude, I was so, my mom loves music, but almost exclusively loves like classic rock, like 70s rock music. Yeah. And my mom is who always, for the most part, drove me to hockey practices, drove me to games, long trips. We would drive 4.5, 5 hours up to Chicago for tournaments. We drive to Detroit. So me just laying in the back seat, I would sleep a lot during these, and listening to classic rock over and over and over and over again is like the one genre that has always stuck with me. When we play golf out with my buddies, obviously I love country, but dude, we'll just put on like a classic rock playlist and just listen to that over and over again. And another thing I was going to say on the whole hits front is like, we're just not much of a radio society anymore. And I think that hurts me with understanding the current hits, because I kind of just listen to playlists that I stream that are like songs that I like. And so it used to be like a Kendrick Lamar would get on my radar with one or two of his hits would pop up on the radio, and I'd be like, who's this? And then I'd go find him on streaming, or you'd go find him a CD or an album, whatever. And you'd be like, oh, fuck, I'm into this. This is good. Whereas they're just not even on my radar, because I sort of just, you end up in an echo chamber of your own preferences, kind of.
Totally. That's a great point. I say that all the time because where my wife works, she does like MRIs and CAT scans and stuff. And in her room, like they always play the radio, because when you're getting like an MRI, you have to listen to music or you'll get Spotify. And she'll always play like today's hits on Spotify or Sirius XM they have in there, and they'll play that. So she knows all these songs. Like, and I've always been like the music guy, and I'll be like, how do you know this song? I'm showing you. She's like, no, it's been on the radio for like a month. So like it's so true. Like I don't know a lot. Like I didn't even know who SZA was, and she was like singing it last night. I'm like, how do you know this song? She's like, it's on the radio like crazy.
Yeah. I'm
like, who listens to the radio? What are you talking? Like, what radio? I'm thinking of like a dial. She's like, what are you talking about? She's like, even Spotify has like today's hits. Like you can just like, there's a radio on Spotify that you can just play all the songs that are like.
I need to do that more.
Across the country.
I need to do that more. You know, because it is like, it's great. Like you just said, the Monkees. It's like that. Just I instantly could feel that opened me up to like 40 new songs I'm gonna like. That you know, instead you just listen to the same shit over and over. Like my Spotify Wrapped is the same 5 people or whatever every year, basically.
It's the same stuff, I know, and you get stuck in this just circle of listening to the same music, and then when you get in the car and you're looking at your little infotainment system in your Chevy, you're like, what am I gonna play? And it's always the same fucking shit, and it's like. It's almost like a risk to pick something new, because you're like, I really want to listen to music that I want to sing to and listen, and that makes me feel good. And it's always the same stuff. So yeah, it's hard to find new music. But I was gonna say, when you said music, like in your house or whatever, obviously had a ton of music growing up in the house, but it was so much so that to this day, if I hear like "The Summer Wind" by Frank Sinatra, I can actually see the type of salad my mom makes before we have pasta. I can actually see it. I can know exactly what seat I'm in. And I can picture me looking down at the salad with the little shaved Parmesan cheese on top. And I'm looking down at the pasta with the meatballs, and I can hear the summer wind. Like right when it starts, dude. So like if I hear that song in a restaurant or something, like it's just like, like again, the hair stand up on the back of your neck. You start to get almost like emotional. Like I could picture myself walking from my childhood bedroom, hearing the music playing and knowing it's pasta night. And then like, you know, maybe there's like a Dean Martin song that reminds me of like when they would have like wine and like the friends would come over. There's just certain songs that you're like, holy shit, that was every time. It's almost like when Tiger Woods would listen to like war like tapes and be like, I'm gonna win tomorrow. Like it's just like
psychologist made him like 20-hour long
ready to eat pasta. Yeah,
I think that's a good thing. Like, and now I had a speaker I had in New York. I have it here now. I'm playing music all the time in my house, and it's really a nice thing, because now when I don't have music going in my house, it feels weird as shit. It just feels like there's, I don't know, it's stale in the house. Having music going is good. And I think introducing your unborn child to the Beatles, I think overall is a great thing.
When you walk into a house and there's no music being played, I'm judging you. I judge you.
That was my house growing up. And I had a great upbringing, but my parents just didn't play music.
No, I know. But like once you're used to it, like you're saying, it sounds so silent. Like, of course, when we're walking around the house, we're not always playing music. Like when I go downstairs right now, there's probably not going to be music being played. I'm just going to look for a banana. I'm going to have some lunch. Once I get things going, I'll start playing music, of course. But like when you're having people over, like you better have that ambient music going. Like you better have something going, man. Like people walking in, have something playing in the background. That's just like that's a vibes thing. Even if you have like your brother-in-law coming over, just have some music being played.
Well, think about how that has changed so much at the Barstool Classic, where you just gotta have music going, because people don't notice it, but when it's not playing, they might notice it. Where it's so quiet and it's just like, holy shit, music everywhere is just a total vibes changer, and I've really come into that as an adult.
We had a like a small, speedboat for the lake growing up. It was a 19-foot Sea Ray. We'd take it out Table Rock Lake all the time, a little bit at Lake of the Ozarks, but it was like a 1996 or something like that. So it had an old tape player in it. And we bought right away, or we had somebody brought to the boat like the first time we used it, Tom Petty's greatest hits. And then every year when we would do our trip down to the lake, we would just forget to get another tape. So for like 15 straight years, we just would park that bitch in a cove and we would just play Tom Petty's greatest hits over and over again for the whole week. So I always think that, Frankie, the second Tom Petty song comes on, I just immediately am like out with a pool noodle, sitting in the lake, sipping on either a lemonade, or then once I got a little bit older, like a light beer out there, listening to just Tom Petty hanging on the lake. That's what I think of every time.
Just throw on Wildflowers and just enjoy yourself. Tom Petty,
so good.
He's got some great ones. That's not breaking news, but Tom Petty's got
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers are fucking massive. I always think back to that Dave Grohl story where Nirvana had obviously not been a band anymore. Kurt Cobain died, and Dave Grohl's sitting at home wondering what his next move is going to be. He has like a little bit of a he recorded some songs for himself, which ended up being the Foo Fighters. But he's thinking about what he's going to do, and he gets a call from Tom Petty to play with him at SNL, and he does. He plays with him, and then he's like, after he plays with him at SNL, he says, "Do you want to be in my band? We're about to go on tour." And Tom Petty had already been big, but it's like, you're about to be with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. That could be the rest of your career, right? Yep. You're just going to be the drummer for Tom Petty. And he says no, and he hangs up on him and then finishes the first album for Foo Fighters. So it's just like, how do you say no to a Tom Petty? He's a fucking legend.
It takes real
Dave
balls.
Grohl ended up huge balls to be drummer of a band and then be like, I'm going to actually start my own band, be the singer, and really the guitarist and drummer of all the first album.
Because he plays every instrument on that first album, right?
Yep.
Oh,
plays that.
Sick.
It's basically just like what's the word I'm looking for? It's like not demo, I guess.
I guess it. Yeah, kinda. I mean,
it was like
there's all those
basically
EPs and LPs that I don't know what that means. But
he basically made like a demo to like show other people. He's like, these are the songs, and then like he ended up just recording all. He recorded the singing, the guitars, the bass, and the drums. He's like, this is my album. So it's all him on the first album.
Is that the album? Is there a gun on the front?
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm picturing in my brain.
This is a great call, album. Big Me. There's so many great songs on there.
That's the ultimate betting on yourself. When you hang up on Tom Petty and say, I don't want to be your drummer. And you are just the drummer of Nirvana, which obviously was a big deal, but like you're now just on your own. Kurt's not around anymore. You got to figure it out. And then he becomes the biggest rock star of the last 30 years.
God.
JailStool. Never really talked about this much. I don't know how much us talking about this or anybody talking about this affects this. I did not get involved in this at all. It was just a lot going on. It was Saturday at the Phoenix Open, then it was Super Bowl Sunday. Next thing I knew, I think JailStool was well over $200 million market cap. Right now I'm looking, it's at $36 million market cap. So it's been down, then it's been up. Now it's down pretty good as we're recording midday Monday. I don't think you guys got involved in this. Maybe a little bit.
Slightly. I got slightly involved. Yeah. You had to. There was so much going on that Twitter was extremely popping off. Like everyone wanted a piece, and you were trying to get in. It was the number one trend in
the country.
Yeah. So I couldn't get in, and I had people sending me stuff. So it was crazy. I got in for like a penny, basically. It's and if you read into it, it's a meme coin. And basically someone sent Dave the meme coin. And with that, they wanted him to basically like promote it. And then that person, they would hope that Dave would sell it. And this is basically what they do. It's like these rug pulls. It's like people will gift people coins, try and get them to promote it. They make a ton of money and everyone just pulls out. Little did they know that Dave was going to take it and run with it, not sell it, put more money into it, explode this thing all the way to like a 200 million market cap. And at one point it was like Dave's, however much he had, I don't know what it was, 20. I don't even know what he started with. It went up to $5 million worth. It was insane. So like you're watching this on Twitter and you're like, I got to get involved here. This is nuts. We're texting everyone like, why my bank wasn't letting things go through. I'm like, what's going on? People are making money. People are making money right now. Like, so I got in and now I think that the crypto community has failed Dave. They're all selling it. He's letting them know, I am not selling it. I guarantee you I won't sell it, but people keep selling.
Right.
So they're not listening to what he's saying. They don't know the Dave Portnoy story. They don't know how loyal he is to the people. He wants people to make money. He's literally keeps saying, I want everyone to make money. So it's like, you know, he's like, I'm not going to sell this thing, but they're selling it right under his freaking feet.
Right, because it's the world of rug pulls, and I know very little about this world, but it's anybody who like followed the Hawk Tua thing very closely was like, that's what happened there, where you get a big name to promote it, everybody buys in, and then the big name rug pulls, they make a shit ton of money, and the little people lose all their money. Dave is doing the opposite. Dave is saying, I'm not going to sell, and he's a man of his word, so he is not selling and has not sold. And originally it went way, way up, and now, like Frankie's saying, I think people who are not Dave are selling, and it's fucking over the coin. So that world, I got involved a little bit like Frankie did, but I'm just like, I don't know what's going to happen. So it's a very strange, and it's the Wild West with those meme coins.
I didn't know anything about it either. And I feel like in the last week, I learned pretty much everything you can learn, which is really not that much. It's just like pretty straightforward. And I think the really unique case that Dave is in is like, oh,
got a little echo situation going on here. Oh, there goes Trent.
He's got to reconnect. Our microphone. He disconnected his own microphone. I think it always messes everything up. But Dave is already a very rich guy. So I think at one point, like his share went up over $6 million worth. And if you're Hawk Tua or you're most people that get stuck in these rug pull situations and everybody hates them, it's like if you could just hit a button and all of a sudden you have $6 million when you're not like a very rich person, it would be hard for anyone not to do that, I think, in these situations. Yeah. And from what I've understood is like, as long as you're not the last person kind of holding the bag at the end, then you definitely can make some money. But it's crazy, like volatility and crazy risky. And so I just kind of stayed away from the entire thing. And I mean,
you want to stay. Yeah, Dave tweets about it all the time. He's like, this is a crazy world in here. He's like, he's not a financial advisor. Invest at your own risk because it's crazy out there. There's a lot of people that are trying to scam people. So he's very honest about like how insane it is, but he's also been honest with wanting to hold on to it. So it's just it was an interesting wrinkle into Super Bowl Sunday weekend, having that thing just kind of flying around Saturday night, Sunday morning, into the game as well. So it's not doing too hot right now, but we'll see if it makes a comeback. Because like he said, he's like, I can't promote this thing 24/7. So who knows? We may have seen the end of it, maybe not, but it was fun while it lasted.
It was fun. And who knows? It could, resurge here. It's still got 30. I think a minute ago I looked, it was like a $40 million market cap. So it's down from 200, but that's not zero. So who the hell knows? It could.
No, it's not zero. It's still holding on.
It could resurge and keep going. And by the time this podcast comes out, it could be worth $1 billion. You just have no idea. That's why this
would be incredible.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't be on the show anymore.
Yeah, absolutely
Speaking of money, do you guys think I'm owed royalties because the Super Bowl ad, somebody used my idea?
Saw that, man. That was nuts.
Wild.
They used my idea. They fully took my idea.
What was this again?
So 3 years ago, I tweeted, you know what somebody should do is a company should buy a Super Bowl ad and just put on the screen, it's bathroom break time, and then have a 30-second countdown. Because during the Super Bowl, there's no commercial breaks because the commercial breaks are things you want to see. So when you're watching the game, you're invested in the game. And then when it's a commercial break, normally during a game, you go to the bathroom, but there's so much that go into Super Bowl commercials that you have to stick around. So there's no time to use the bathroom. So I tweeted that 3 years ago, just as an idea, like, wow, a company should definitely do this. And then last night, Angel Soft, the toilet paper company, they did that exact idea. They put a 30-second countdown on and said, here's your bathroom break opportunity. That's my idea.
I think you deserve royalties, yes, but even at a bare minimum, you should get the confirmation from someone at Angel Soft that says, yes, we saw this, and yes, we acted on it. Because I still think that legally, they don't owe you anything, so they can write you that confirmation, right? Like anyone can have an idea on Twitter and someone just takes it. So like, don't you want that confirmation though, or would you rather not even know because it would make you mad?
I really don't care either way. I just thought it was funny that they did it.
Oh, it's amazing. They should, dude. They definitely saw that though. Like that.
Oh, yeah,
because that was a huge tweet, right? Like,
oh yeah, that the original tweet got 15,000 likes.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. I
And
think
then the
somebody
tweet
saw
last
that.
night where I quote tweeted and was like, oh, they did it. That's got 90,000 likes.
Wow.
Whew.
Yeah, so they saw it.
They saw.
Congrats,
I
Trent.
don't.
Congrats.
Thank you. It felt, as soon as I saw it, I felt like I was living in an alternate universe. I was like, that they didn't even like church it up in a way where it wouldn't be my idea. It was just like bathroom break 30 seconds. That was my idea. So I don't expect royalties. I don't even expect them to come out and say, we stole that idea from you.
They
But I
have
just
to.
want people to know that was my idea.
They have to give you that confirmation. There was a commercial. Did you guys see how like one marketing company definitely just threw the same idea at two different companies with the flying mustache and the flying eyebrows?
Mhm.
You have the dad from American Pie. What's his name?
Oh, he's got the shit. It's the Schitt's Creek guy.
Yeah, Schitt's Creek.
God damn it.
Oh,
Yeah, I know you're
Eugene
talking
Levy. Eugene Levy.
Yes.
Because his son. Well, yeah, his son
Dan.
is Levy also, but it's David from Schitt's Creek. Is his name David
Correct.
in real life too? I don't know. So he's in a Pringles commercial, I think it was, or no, he was in a Little Caesars commercial where he eats a pizza and his eyebrows go up and they fly away, and like it lands on a kid's mustache, and everyone's freaking out. His eyebrows are going all over the place because he's like so stunned at how good the Little Caesars pizza is. And then 10 minutes later, there's a Pringles commercial where the guy goes to eat a Pringles and the mustache goes flying away. So I'm sitting there being like, these motherfuckers, this dumb marketing company. There's definitely one marketing company that was like, we got a great idea and we're going to sell it to these two companies, thinking they'd only get one confirmation. Oh, we're only going to get one bid. Both companies said yes to them. They're like, we only got one. They're sitting in this office of this marketing campaign company, and they're like, we only got one idea. So we got to hope that both these companies don't notice it. And I guarantee you, the Pringles and the Little Caesars people were pissed off watching that, being like, what the fuck? We had the flying extremities off the faces. That's our thing.
Yeah.
Now we're sitting here. You know what it is, though? It's working because I'm talking about both products.
I know.
So maybe they're playing the long game here because I'm talking Pringles and Little Caesars. I've said both names now. You know what I mean? So maybe they're geniuses by doing something so similar that we had to talk about it.
Overall, I'm pretty down on Super Bowl commercials. They're not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to them. Growing up, it was the Budweiser frogs. That was a banger when I was a kid. Felt like that was everywhere, and I don't know. It got to the point where obviously they were always trying really hard with Super Bowl commercials, but now they're really trying really hard, and I don't love them as much as I used to.
Seal singing as a seal. Like, and I've read more up on it because I tweeted. I'm like, they must have paid this guy an ungodly amount to be like, hey, Seal, we're going to do that joke where you're a seal and you're going to sing your famous song. And everyone's going to look around and be like, are you like, how disrespectful is that to make him into a seal, right? Because his name's Seal. And he fucking did it. And I read that he loved it. Like his kids loved it. He had a lot of fun doing it. So that I read into that wrong. I'm like, bro, Seal's down bad that he's taken the bag to turn into a seal. Because when you see that commercial, you're like, Jesus, dude. You're like, we get like, yeah. It's just, it was shocking to see that.
Yeah, I agree.
And like Tiger Woods, like in 20 years, like doing a commercial where he's walking around like a tiger. It's like, and you're just like, Jesus, man. Like,
Could
we
happen.
get it. Your name's Tiger. It's like, I don't know. Fucking.
We understand.
We get
As
the
long as
whole
he's
joke,
walking
man.
around at 20 years, that'd be great. I think we'd be
Like
pumped
the
about
whole commercial needed a no pun intended thing on the top.
The heavy-handed.
Yeah, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, it used to be like the Dorito. Like, you always had like the babies, like the whatever it was, like the E-Trade babies. Like
Oh, yeah.
those guys were great. And the Doritos commercials were always huge. Like, you knew the Clydesdale commercial, of course. You knew that like when a certain brand had a commercial that it was going to be a banger. And now it's like they do have funny commercials, but they're coming from all different types of companies. So like you can't even really appreciate them.
Well,
You don't know what's coming.
Right. And I think when a room full of people try to be funny for a big Super Bowl commercial, like that's just not going to work. What you're looking at when you're seeing the commercials now is people in a boardroom being like, this, you know what would be really funny? Seal as a seal. And you're like, holy shit, what is happening? When the best Super Bowl, the best thing that came out of Super Bowl week in terms of stuff like this was what our Out of Order guys did with Jon Gruden.
Oh,
and
my God.
Like that, I think that's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. And if you haven't watched it, you have to go. Jon Gruden, Out of Order. The sketch is incredible. Jon Gruden fully bought into not only that sketch, but all of Barstool. We love Jon Gruden. We've done videos with him. We're going to keep doing videos with him. Watch the Out of Order sketch that they did with Jon Gruden. I laughed so hard watching that thing that I was just like, this is a triumph of the internet that we can get Jon Gruden to do something like this. And he's all into it. That thing was fucking spectacular.
Incredible writing, incredible acting by Jon Gruden. I think Gaz tweeted it, but like if that had a brand within it, like if that's a beer commercial and he's holding like a brand, that is the best commercial of the year if that's on the Super Bowl. And it's one of those things where it could have ran like multiple times. Like let's say they had like a minute and 30 of it. You run 30 seconds of it, and it would play throughout the whole entire Super Bowl. It would have been the biggest commercial that anyone had ever seen. But yeah, he did an amazing job, an absolutely amazing job. We're actually going to be with Gruden next week. Right when I get back from London, we're going to be filming Gruden like a quick little rematch of the video. We're going down to Tampa because we just got, Gruden's all in and he wants to golf. He just got his QI35 today. He just posted that on the Foreplay Instagram, giving us a huge shout out. So there's a whole unboxing of Gruden getting new TaylorMade golf clubs that just went up on Instagram just now. He's all in. He was with John Daly today golfing.
That was unbelievable
at Avila. So yeah, he's all in, man. And I can't wait to get. We have a crazy crew going out there for our rematch with Jon Gruden. I don't want to spoil it just in case it changes, but the names are just going to shock football fans. Like they're such legends that you can't believe it's like the Avengers of like early 2000s football,
Right.
So good.
We were basically like, hey, John, we want to come down there and do a match against you. And basically some of the people who his houses he pointed at in the first video, he's like, this guy lives here. This guy lives here. And we were like, get a bunch of guys and we're going to do a match against you. And he was like, no problem.
No problem. You know what, man? We're going to get you a great little lineup here, man. You're going to come down here to Avila and we're going to play some golf, man. Is that all right with you?
He's a superstar.
Oh,
yeah. All right. Voicemails. We got a little voicemail action to do. Reminder, the number 646-685-4717. This is from the gallery, brought to you by Truly Hard Seltzer today. Truly Unruly is the first high ABV hard seltzer that actually tastes good. Truly Unruly is a hard seltzer that breaks all the rules, drinks light, parties hard with 8% ABV. It hits hard, but it still tastes amazing. It comes in 4 fresh flavors: Tropical Twist, Berry Blast, which is my favorite, Citrus Crush, Strawberry Smash, but they're all very delicious. We were drinking these at the Barstool Classic Championship just a few months ago and loving every sip. It's the official hard seltzer of Foreplay. Find Truly Unruly at a store near you. Visit trulyhardseltzer.com. That is trulyhardseltzer.com and try Truly Unruly. I believe Alex Bush has set these up. So let's hear from the gallery.
What's up, fellas? Matt from Vermont here. Hey, my buddy and Corey and I are headed down to Bethpage for Friday at the Ryder Cup in September. This will be our first time going to a golf tournament for the both of us, and I was wondering if you guys have any tips or tricks for attending a golf tournament like this. Are we better to post up on a green or move with a group or a little of both? We may hit up Borelli's for a bite Friday evening. Thanks, boys. Hit it hard.
Yeah, baby. Well, right off the bat, if Borelli's isn't your go-to spot during the Ryder Cup, if you're coming down, you're insane. I'm going to be posted up there every day before going to the golf course and after. We want to shut that place down like it's like an Islander Stanley Cup run. All right, I'm going to be there until 4:00 in the morning, just handing out Peronis and shots of Sambuca. But yeah, I mean, I think we've all have our different takes on what it's like to go to an event. I will say that going to a Ryder Cup is going to be different, especially at Bethpage, right? Because there's way less people on the golf course, so viewing experience is going to be different. At any given time, you might only have how many golfers? 12 on each side on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's about it.
Here's what I would do. At the Ryder Cup. Ryder Cup, incredibly unique, like Frankie's saying, and every tournament's a little bit unique. You go to the Players' Championship, you can almost walk up to a green that has the leaders on it and see, because it's stadium-style golf course. It's built in an amazing way where everything is almost an amphitheater, and you can kind of see. You go to Pinehurst number 2, you can't see shit. The greens are all raised above, they're turtle back, so if you just stand on the edge of a green and you haven't been sitting there all day, you're not going to have a seat, you're not going to have a spot to see anything. Ryder Cup, incredibly unique in that, what you're saying, there's only 4 groups on the golf course at any given time. So what I would do is I think the first tee at a Ryder Cup is such an unbelievable experience. These guys are going to be there Friday. It's going to be the first tee shots of the entire Ryder Cup. It's only a 3-day event. I would figure out whatever the hell you have to do, Google it, look it up, get there as early as you need to get there to get in line, run to that first tee. You don't have to have a seat up front. You don't have to even have a seat. As long as you have any seat on the first tee at the Ryder Cup, it's going to be an absolute blast. So I would sit there from that hour. It'll be dark still. The sun comes up as they start because it's later in the year. So they kind of have to start basically at sunrise and go till sunset. I would make sure you get some kind of seat on that first tee, watch every single group tee off, and then I would immediately move my ass to, let's call it the 9th or the 12th hole, something like that. I would get a good spot up by the green, and I would sit there all day and watch every group come through with my buddies, and I would do fun little $1, $2, $5 bets on all the shots that come into that green, have drinks, so that way you get to see everything. Because I think the hardest thing to do is to try to move with the group throughout the day, because you're really not going to be able to see many shots. You're really not going to be able to realize that on the 8th hole, maybe randomly example, there might be, you think you're moving with the group, but then it turns out that your side of the golf hole that you're on, actually there's no walking areas. So now you got to wait for play to stop and then go across, blah, blah, blah. That's the way I would do it. I would make sure you're on that first fucking tee at the Ryder Cup. It's unbelievable. The energy's insane. There'll be chanting going on. The Euro people in the crowd will probably be trying to do their Viking clap. The Americans will be doing USA. It's fucking awesome. But then I would move on to somewhere where you could sit on a green all day long with your pals and just bet, do small little bets, have fun, closest to the pins. Is he going to make this putt? And that way you get to watch every group come through. That's the way I would do it at a Ryder Cup.
Yeah, it's just different, though, because there's not that many people coming through, right? So if you shoot over to 12, you're not getting anyone over there for an hour and a half, and then they're gone after, an hour. So it's like you're not getting that 120 golfers coming through that hole where you're there from 10 o'clock until 4 o'clock, really. So it's interesting because I've heard that people actually do follow the crowd during a Ryder Cup because it's really just a compact group that's going through the golf course. And like once they're gone, but so maybe you like figure out a way to do it where it's like, all right, you go to 12 or you go to like 7 and you watch them all come through, and then you shoot over to like 14 and you watch them all come through. You got to do 2 different versions of it because once they come through, they're gone. There's no one else coming through, man. You have like this tight window of 4 groups coming through, and that's it. So if you want to make the most out of it, I do think you need to pinpoint your spots, like Riggs is saying. Like, have a plan. Number 1 is a fucking automatic.
So
automatic. That's why you're going to the Ryder Cup. It's for number 1. That's the idea. You're traveling in for the Ryder Cup, and everyone's going to have that same idea, by the way. So you got to be really, really aggressive and do it. And it's really not that far of a run. I don't know where they're going to be doing all the ticketing, but I mean, the first tee's right behind the clubhouse. So it's not that crazy of a run. I wouldn't assume, because it's really not that big of a parking lot property anyway. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. So yeah, I mean, listen, I think you go to 1. I think you go find something in the middle of the golf course, just get a seat, watch all the groups come through, and then just try and get somewhere on the back and do it again. You're really only going to get like 1 or 2 opportunities to see those guys out on the golf course. That's it. But once you're in it, though, even if it's for an hour, like it's going to be the coolest golf watching you've had because every shot's going to matter. Even on the 3rd hole, if you watch the putt go in, you're going to get a roar. It's not like a guy just coming down on Sunday. Like you're going to get a huge moment. So put yourself in position to have huge moments. Scope out the golf course. Look at where you want to go. That back corner is not going to have many people in it. That like 11, 12, 13 area, I don't even know if they're going to have grandstands back there. So it could be a good spot to go to.
Yeah, and I you're right. There's only figures. I was kind of thinking by the time that all the groups get off the first tee, then maybe you hit the merch tent, and then by the time you really go get a seat on 8 or 9 or 10, they're going to be coming through pretty shortly. And then I think you're right. Like you watch them all come through, and then hurry your ass to something, because that, dude, I mean, 16 or 15, 16, 17, 18, all in that really cool part of the course where you cross back over the road. And seeing any one of those holes is so sick, watching them play. But I do think being up near the green is really important, because that's where you're going to get the fist bumps. You're going to get all the energy. You're going to be able to see the balls come in. People are going to hit crazy chips. They're going to be holing stuff out. And I think it's going to be hard to be able to get a spot near the green if you're just following groups, because those are where all the grandstands are. So it's like if you're kind of following the group, you might see some tee shots, which is great. Might see some approach shots, which is great. But by the time you get to like the real money makers, where you might capture a sick video on your phone of like Jordan Spieth holding a putt, him and JT jump into each other, I just don't think you're going to be able to see much if you haven't been sitting there. But I think Frankie's right. You might be able to get a spot first tee, get a spot in the late part of the front nine or early back nine, and then get another spot coming home, and then do it all over again. They do 2 groups throughout the entire day. They do 2 sessions.
Exactly.
So do that fucker all over again. Maybe hit the merch tent in between. If you already saw the first tee shots the first time around, maybe while everybody hustles to the first tee shot in the afternoon, you go hit that merch tent. But this Bethpage Ryder Cup logo is going to be off the charts. You're going to want to get stuff. And we saw at the Phoenix Open, like the line was an hour and a half long at one point, and they had like 200 people checking people out. So I imagine the merch tent's going to be kind of a grind, but you're going to have to get some gear for that event.
Or like, since you got the 2 sessions, like do the first tee, of course, in the morning. And then if you see like it's impossible to get to like 6 or 7 or whatever, just go to the back nine, watch that whole first session come through. Maybe go sit on like 14 or 15, 16, 17, like we're saying, around the par 3, around the 18th tee box or around the 18th green. And then for the second session, you can pick something like hole 3. You don't have to go to the first tee for the second session. You can immediately go to the 3rd green or the 4th green, one of the best holes in the world. Like you can go to that area and just sit on that green, and they're going to be going for it in 2. There's a lot of risk reward on that 2-tier par 5. Like the 4th green, I don't know what kind of stanchions they're going to have, could be the spot to be.
Dude, they might have a huge grandstand like left of the 4th green, Frankie, so that you could watch tee shots behind you on 5 and watch, because that'd be a great green to be around, because everyone's going to hit it up near the green in 2, but they're not going to hit it on the green most likely. So you're going to see all kinds of shots. You're going to see him talking through short game shots and then big putts. Like, that would be a great spot to go.
A great spot. So yeah, can't wait. Thank you. What was his name again? He's from Vermont.
From Vermont.
Hey boys, this is Christian from Chicago. My favorite Truly flavor is pineapple, by the way. Anyways, I know all this mishmash talk about pace of play and everything. And one thing I want to talk about with you guys, and the question I asked, why haven't we brought up more the use of rangefinders? The guys stepping it off with their caddies, sprinkler heads, all these yardage books. Let's just cut the crap. Tell the guys how far away the hole is. It doesn't change the game at all, at least in my eyes. And I want to hear from you guys. Thanks. Love the show. Hope you hear from you soon. Bye-bye.
The PGA Tour just did this, right?
They announced they're going to do a testing period or something.
Yeah. They're going to feel it out, I think, is what the idea was. And we've seen the behind the scenes of this. These books that these guys get are already so dialed in. Like we were talking at Torrey Pines with one of the guys. I think it was maybe it was Doug Gim. And it was actually really interesting when he was telling me that the yardages on like elevated tee boxes change based off how high the person with the rangefinder, how tall the person with the rangefinder is. So like that really downhill par 3 on the north side of Torrey Pines, whatever hole that is,
15 or 16, maybe
like 13 or 14. Yeah.
He said if like a 6'2" person lasers that, it's going to be a way different number with slope than a person that's 5'9", just because the angle is different, which I thought was incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, that kind of came up because he was saying like, oh, the guy who makes this book has this or whatever numbers. And so like there's people that make these books and they already have all the numbers in there and all of the information that these guys need. So, I mean, yeah, you're definitely saving time. These guys, there's at this point in 2025, no one's hitting a shot without all the information. So you might like, maybe back in the day there was like creativeness and there was like an art to knowing how hard, like, you know, what a shot did, or maybe the like majesticness or magic of Augusta. Like some guys know to hit a 3-wood instead of a hybrid or a 4-iron. Like they know where the wind goes, but like these guys all know the yardage to the fucking millimeter. So just let them shoot the fucking thing.
Well, my worry is that instead of being a replacement for some of these things they already do, it's just going to be another thing that they do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they're going to stop doing, like, I think I saw Smiley Kaufman talking about it. He was like, they're still going to walk it off. Like, they're still going to do everything they were doing before, and they're going to shoot the flag. Like, it might actually have the opposite effect, as opposed to, oh yeah, no, we don't have to do any of that stuff we did before. You know, we don't need to do any of that because we got the rangefinder now. I actually think it could be another thing that they do. And I'd be very curious if we asked a couple of guys on tour, like, and the caddies. Like, is this going to change anything, or is it just going to be another thing on the list that you're going to do when you get to the ball?
Yeah, I would worry. I'd be curious what data they have from. Is it the PGA Championship that allows them? I think it's the PGA Championship that allows rangefinders.
Yes.
They got to have some sort of data on if it's improved pace of play or not. I think there's instances where it definitely would. Like if somebody's a Jordan Spieth type round and they hit it in the different fairway, and the caddy's like gotta really triangulate and try to run up and walk stuff off. That's going to add time if he can just laser it and be like, that's what this is. But I still think they're looking at the book every single time, no matter what. So I think, right? Like they're just going to use it as, oh, now they're giving us more information. That's awesome. We could just add that to our situation. So I think they're going to laser it and be like, all right, that says, it's 162. It's kind of a front right pin. What does the book say? It is from, the cover that bunker, it's 157. Okay. And then you also walked it off. What was that number? You got 163. Okay. So now it's like, I just think there's a chance they do that, which isn't going to help. Now they do, like I said, they've been doing this. I think it's the PGA. They've been doing it on the PGA Championship for a few years now at this point. So they definitely have some data around it. It would almost have to, I guess you could never get rid of the book. I don't know how much it would speed it up overall. I really just don't know, and I wonder if they have any information on if it has or not.
The bad shots, it for sure speeds it up, like you're saying. You just
agreed.
Shoot it.
Yeah,
agreed.
Like, but they to my point before, it's like they know all the yardages already. They know everything to the front of the green. So I don't think that it's like an advantage, or I guess that's my point. Is like there's no like advantage or disadvantage to giving them a rangefinder. It's not like you're ruining the integrity of the game. These guys know so much about the hole. It doesn't matter if you're like instantaneously, if you're instantly telling them this is what the yardage is, they were going to figure it out anyway. They have all the information in that book. So just give them that yardage right away, and then they can do all their other process. It's not going to stop them from having a conversation, but you're just eliminating the possibility of a guy taking way too long to figure out what that number is, because he's not going to hit that ball until he knows exactly what the number is. So my point is just give him the number. He's going to find out. He has all the information right there. So, let's eliminate that process.
He is going to find that number out, but then I think they're going to still do the work to make sure that's the right number.
That would be crazy, because hopefully over time they'll just believe that this is the number, because that's what it is.
I don't think they would, right?
I don't know though.
Tiger Woods, if it was Tiger Woods and Joey LaCava or Stevie Williams in their day, I don't think there's a chance in hell that Tiger and Stevie would have been like, oh, yeah, we'll just trust you guys that that's definitely the number, or this company. It's like, Stevie, you better walk that fucking thing off now, dude. You better walk it off right now. But they're
trusting the number from they lasered it at some point, right? Like they're trusting the book from the practice round from a fucking sprinkler head.
Well,
so it's like,
they
they're trusting
did all
they're not walking it.
I think when they're out there checking it out, I think they're probably walking most of it. I think that when they put in those books,
Joey LaCava's walking from the 175 yard sprinkler head to make sure it's 175 yards.
Dude, well, yeah, I don't know about that, but we see the caddies out there before. We saw Ted Scott at the Waste Management. Like these guys are walking around, they're making notes, they're not fucking around.
I bet Joe LaCava's got sprinkler heads marked in his book that he knows are wrong, and he's got them marked at how different they are. I would bet that.
Do you think he used a laser for it?
I don't know, but I think he's walked them off. He also could use he could have used over the years Tiger Woods shots as evidence. Tiger could have hit an 8-iron and it's flown half a club long, and he's been like, I don't think that's right. And they've tested it and hit another one and been like, I don't think that's right. And then they either lasered it or Joey walked it off, and they were like, yep, that sprinkler head's off by 4 yards or whatever the fuck it is.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a counterpoint to my beginning take, where it's these guys there is, I guess, a skill to knowing it without the laser. Because it does bring in that conversation, the caddy player kind of relationship of trusting that the number's right, that the book is right. But all of a sudden, then you're bringing in books. It's what are we actually doing? Just fucking tell them the yardage, man. We know it on the screen. As a viewer, we know the yardage.
It would almost rather be no rangefinders. Just do it the way you just said. Where it's actually when the caddy walks up to the ball, have a designated rules person be like, this is the exact yardage to the flag.
Yeah.
Just tell them.
Right.
Just tell them. And then you can do all your other book shit fine, because you have the distance to the back front, all that. but just tell them this is the exact yardage down to the
Dottie
fucking,
knows it. All
Right.
the people on the broadcast are like, it's a 142.
the
Right.
shot link knows
Right.
it.
So the
Like,
argument
I
on the
know
other
it-
side is that
Like when on the Corn Ferry Tour, like when Alistair Doherty is walking up to his ball, I know the yardage before he does. It says he's fucking 137 out. It fucking says it.
right. So the argument would be that there is an art to figuring out the yardage. It just
Maybe.
takes too fucking long.
Well, the PGA Championships eliminated it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
We got one more there, Bush. Thanks for that.
Yeah,
That was
we can do
Christian
one more.
from Chicago. We still don't know that first guy's name from Vermont.
But does the PGA Championship let it happen during the tournament round, or do they only let it happen during practice rounds? Or they're all allowed to use them during practice rounds?
They allow them during competition in the PGA Championship.
Wow.
Hey, what's up, fellas? Tyler from West Virginia. I was just curious if you guys could be a pro for one weekend, minus the majors, what event do you think you would want to participate in? All right. Yeah, I think that's all I got, man. Appreciate it.
You really searched for another point there.
He did.
I know. I thought he was going to say something else. What event if we were pro golfers, what event would we want to play in?
Oh, mine's easy.
This is an easy answer.
For me, it's the Phoenix Open. It's just.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
If it was right, he'd say like non-majors. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Oh, did he say non-majors? All right,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. I think. Look, I think as a kid growing up, if you think about whether you were playing hockey, basketball, football, whatever, if you're coach or your parents told you like, oh yeah, this game this afternoon there's going to be 10 people there, you'd be like, all right, fine. They told you there's going to be 100,000 people there, you'd be the most jacked up person of all time. Like you just want to be playing in front of a ton of people is the coolest thing ever. So if I'm going to get one shot as a pro to play in one event, like I'm going to miss the cut and play horrible no matter what event it is. I might as well do it at like the one that's got the most action going on. Plus I live here. I know the most people. It would just be an absolute blast. So I would pick the Phoenix Open.
Yeah, it's obviously a good answer. There's only a couple of them, I think. Mine would be the Players, and the reason I say that is because we've gotten the chance. We've been lucky enough to play both holes, the 16th and the 17th. 16 at Scottsdale, 17th at Sawgrass, and I gotta admit, I got way more nervous and jacked up about the Island Green than I did the Stadium hole. There was something about it that like it was so much like it was the video game I had played my whole life, and it was like a fake hole to me that when I stood on that tee box, I couldn't believe I was there. And I didn't get that feeling at TPC Scottsdale. I don't know if it's just because it's like it just keeps getting bigger, and it's like it's so outrageous that you're like, all right, now I'm just in a baseball stadium. I've seen these before. But there's something about that, like the way that they made the grass around Sawgrass, like for me, like coming down that stretch of 16, 17, and 18 would be so outrageous to like try and win a golf tournament. You still have a ton of people there, and to have to hit that shot over the water, hold it on that impossibly hard green. Like there's something about that is so impressive, and it's got the history. To me, it's the Players.
I think the reason is because you're on the 17th at Sawgrass, you are on the edge of disaster. They're like at 16 at Waste Management, you can top it and you're fine. Like you'll just end up somewhere down there. With 17, there's I know the green is pretty substantial, but there's a real chance that a disaster.
Sometimes it's harder than 12 at Augusta, but yeah.
But I think that's probably what because I feel the same way. Like when we played 16 at Waste Management the other day, I was definitely nervous, but I knew I was going to make probably a fine score. 17 at Sawgrass, I can make a 50.
I think too, like the 17th at Sawgrass is an iconic hole. The 16th at Phoenix Open is an iconic environment. It's not an iconic.
Totally.
Environment. And I think like I was way more nervous hitting my first tee shot the one time that I played the old course at St. Andrews. And I hit a driver into a 120 wide yard field. It wasn't like a difficult thing to do. I was more nervous than I was on the 16th just because it's so iconic that you're never going to forget this moment. You're never going to forget that, like, I got to play this hole. And I would agree. I was more nervous too when we hit that shot on 17th August. It's like, are you going to hit the green or not? That's pretty much what anyone's going to remember on the 17th hole at Sawgrass. They're going to ask you that for the rest of your life. And nobody's really going to say that on 16 that it just doesn't matter as much, where it's like, it's everything. If you hit the island green, you did one of the things in golf that's like, you check it off, you did it.
And I know I'm wearing the hat, so people are going to think it's like promotion, but I mean, it's just true. It's like, there's something about it, man. Like there really is. And I didn't notice I was wearing it until I just said that, which is very funny. There's just something about it. And when you're there, it just feels different. And I can't even imagine what it feels like to win it, let alone how we felt when we got to play it. So that's kind of why I picked that.
Oh no.
And yeah. What?
Tiger's not playing.
What?
No way.
We just got he just tweeted 1 minute ago.
I plan to tee it up this week, but I'm just not ready. I did my best to prepare, knowing it's what my mom would have wanted, but I'm still processing her loss. Thanks to everyone who has reached out. I hope to be at Torrey later in the week and appreciate the continued kindness since my mom's passing. So this has nothing to do with physical ailments. This is all a grieving Tiger Woods that just can't bring himself to play in a professional tournament without his mom just yet. I totally get it, because I honestly was stunned that he was playing in it because of how close he was with his mom. And how emotional he gets, especially we talked about last show, how emotional he got after his father's passing. And yeah, this is definitely going to take some time for this guy. That is devastating.
It's understandable.
That he won't be teeing it up. It's understandable, but it's devastating that he won't be teeing it up.
Yeah. I mean, we talked earlier in the show about how excited we were, but obviously understand with what's going on in his life. So it's a bummer.
You think people made it an hour and 50 minutes in that are like, oh, they have no idea he didn't play?
Yeah.
I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're jokes on them. We caught it.
We got it. Brendan Jones sent it over.
Holding the baby, fucking giving us updated news. The way you said, oh no, and then you said Tiger, I thought he died.
No.
I thought he wasn't playing.
But I didn't even really know what it was, but it was one of those, it's the background thing. It's the blue background with the white lettering. And I kind of caught the first couple words and I was like, oh, this guy's not playing this week. So, yeah.
It's a bummer.
I bet you, it's Monday of tournament week. I bet you he thought about like what it's going to entail. He's about to go prepare for it, play practice rounds. And he's just like, he's realizing his mind's just not there. And does he want to go out there and waste a physical opportunity when he knows that he might not be able to compete? I think at this point in his life, he needs to preserve every single chance that he has to win. And he's probably thinking to himself, I cannot go out. Even if I was as healthy as I was when I was 20 years old, I wouldn't be able to perform this week. So I'm not going to take a chance.
Yeah. He doesn't have, that's not the full package. He's got a lot going on in his mind, obviously. So yeah.
I totally get it, man. That's
me too.
A bummer. It's just weird. He was like playing with Trump yesterday. Maybe just everything is just like hitting him right now. It's probably just feel like a whirlwind, you know?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say the weather might have something to do with it. If I had to be honest, I think like there's a chance he's looking at that being like, dude, cold, rainy, that ain't my jam right now at this point in my career, combined with everything else. I wouldn't be surprised if that had a factor. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 75 and sunny every day and he was like, all right, I might, everything, all things considered, I might be able to handle that a little bit better.
Yeah.
Now, when do you think we see him?
Think he adds one now because he was like prepared?
I hope so, man. I hope so. If he played like Bay Hill, you could see him playing Bay Hill. We kind of went through this last year.
Did he? He did not last year.
I said, can he play the players? I was going to say, like, is he allowed to? Is he like exempt? And
I'm not sure.
That's a great question.
Isn't he in every event for the rest of his life? Isn't he?
He has a lifetime,
especially the players.
He has a lifetime exemption on the PGA Tour, but I know he's like not into elevated events, right? I believe because those are only top whatever.
I don't know.
Maybe that was just FedEx Cup. I don't know. They keep changing it with all the, ever since Live, they've changed a bunch of shit. I can't remember exactly, but
it is an elevated event. Yeah,
I know he has a lifetime exemption on tour.
He should have one of those just like Chipotle cards for every golf tournament in the world, where it doesn't matter what he could play in the Barstool Classic. Obviously, he could play in anything if he just shows up to the golf course and is like, "I want to play."
Gotta have a
people
handicap.
should just be like, "Yeah, okay, let's do it." He could show up at a mini golf tournament. People are just like, "Yeah, you can play anywhere." Little card that he has, I can. What?
Oh, sorry. What was your answer to what tournament? Just to answer our guy.
Oh, John Deere Classic with the caveat that I win it.
Yeah.
Because if you win it, that would be amazing. I would love that. You guys got good answers, but it kind of boils down to what we've been talking about on the show forever. It's like, what event really blows your socks off, knocks your socks off? And it's the Players is a good one. Waste Management's a good one. And then for me, just personally, if I get to play the John Deere Classic and I get to win it and I get that Deere trophy, that's the one for me.
Are you ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They are dietitian approved. They are ready to heat, and they are ready to eat in 2 minutes so you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. This is incredibly important for us. We're on the road all the time. Myself and Trent, we're sort of out on an island out here. We're trying to whip up meals. You're trying to eat healthy, but sometimes you just go back to the old go-tos, the old trust. You go back to the well, not good for you. This is phenomenal.
Yeah, you just heat them up and you're eating good. Not fast food. You're not ordering you're not spending a ton on delivery. It's just at your house. And if you don't have time to make a full dinner, bang, Factor's there for you. You heat them up, you eat them. They're good for you. They fill you up. Bang. That's all you need. They're there for you when you need them, and that's a huge part of it.
Also, eating a nice dinner like this or a lunch opens you up for a little naughty snack later. When you really use up all of your naughtiness on the dinner and you end up eating fast food or you go cheap or whatever, that's how it compounds into multiple mistakes. Make sure that you have a nice base of lunch and dinner, and that you're making these meals that are home cooked because they're sending them to you and you're making them in your own house. You're heating them up. Make sure that this is your foundation right here. Let Factor give you that foundation, because you eat that dinner, you feel good, you feel light, you feel healthy.
Lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor Keto meals based on a randomized controlled clinical trial. With Factor Keto, results will vary depending on diet and exercise. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/450off. That is FORE50OFF. 450 off is your code to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's a phenomenal deal. That is code again, 450 off, FORE50OFF at factormeals.com/450 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
It got me thinking, and I know we have the Ryder Cup coming to Bethpage, and I know we get Shinnecock US Opens, and I know that we get PGA Championships and the whole deal. But it is stunning to me that New York doesn't have a mainstay PGA Tour event throughout the summer. Every year it comes back to New York at an iconic, whether it be Hamptons course or one of these Glen Oaks or something like that. Because the crowds are always the biggest. The players always say that it means the most to win around here. Why isn't it? The golf out here is
crowds
insane.
Are the biggest. I don't think the crowds are the biggest. I think historically, when they've had events there outside of majors, when they've had a normal PGA Tour event, when they did it at Liberty National and whatnot, I think they were, even at Glen Oaks, they were kind of stunned at how they didn't get crazy crowds. And I think they would
really.
Yeah, they would do it.
The majors are insane.
The majors are massive, but I think that it's almost that issue that we've run into in New York that we were kind of talking about, I think, last week, of there's so many other attractions in New York that there's, it's almost like you got to find these sweet spots a little bit where it's a happening spot, but not happening enough that people don't have a million other things that they have the option to go to. And I just think New York historically, because it was, God, what was it, 6-8 years ago, something like that, they changed it where it used to have, right? They used to do the Northern Trust, the Barclays for a while, they called it, was always in the New York area. And they had the TPC Boston stop in Boston. So they had both of them. And then they decided to essentially combine those two, if you want to call it the Philly area too, that region into one stop. So they would visit Boston every 3 or 4 years. They would visit New York area every 3 or 4 years, something like that they kind of changed it to. And I think the reason was, believe it or not, in the late summer, early fall, when football was kicking back in, when college was restarting in the Northeast, that they just weren't getting the draw that they thought they would get from such a big market. I'm pretty sure that was like kind of their main reason.
There's got to be something to it because PGA Tour skips it and Live skips New York City too, right?
Yeah.
But it seems like they always try and go in the fall. Like they always try and go in the fall for the playoffs or whatever. It's like, give me like a dead of summer, like iconic course that doesn't get much, TV, like a National Golf Links or something. I know that they'd have to like approve that or something, but they played the Walker Club there. Like it's just stunning to me that in the middle of the summer with all that money that's out in the Hamptons, it's like the whole entire world. It's basically the LA of the East Coast, the Hamptons during the summer, where you have all these big names, all this big money that they've never tried to do something like that aside from the majors. And obviously the majors are super successful. So maybe they just like to wait for the big ones because that's their money makers anyway. But yeah, just got me thinking it would be fun, but it makes sense. It does make sense. I mean, no one goes to freaking Islander games because there's too much going on. There's a lot going on.
That's what
tons.
That's what AI Overview says too. PGA Tour doesn't regularly visit New York City because there are other events competing for the audience's attention. A PGA Tour event might not be as notable as other events in a city like New York. The weather in New York City in May can be unpredictable, with temperatures ranging from 40s to 70s, can make it difficult to maintain turf conditions. And then it says championship infrastructure is set up months in advance, which can damage the turf after winter. So I think they get courses too that like they struggle to convince the courses because those memberships
just don't want them.
Rich see it. They're like, fuck that. We're only open for 6-7 months of the year. We don't want our course ruined. So yeah,
I'm just thinking, imagine a tournament at like Meadowbrook, like something like a big old school club that like could easily host a tournament with massive property that's so iconic. Like that to me would be so cool. But yeah, it would never happen. Like you said, the membership there would never let that. Like a Deepdale, imagine that. Like, god damn.
I know. Putting on those
grandstands and shit. It's like no, we don't want
that. They're just like, nah, we're all set, dude. We're absolutely all set. Like I think, even when they do the U.S. Open at Wingfoot, I believe that membership, like, really, they have a pretty serious grind to approve it every time. So if they book those things, like if the USGA comes to them 6-8 years out and says, hey, we're thinking for 2028, whatever it is, that we want to host the next Open at Wingfoot, I don't believe that Wingfoot is like, awesome, see you there. I think they're like, all right, give us like 6 months to like have all the meetings with our membership and approve that.
Wow.
Crazy.
Makes sense.
It's very counterintuitive, but it does kind of make sense.
It's just like where YouTube golf is going. Like Grant Horvat, I just clicked on his new video and he's just like he's in a pond looking for golf balls. So it's just like everyone's just trying to find new shit to do, man. Like he's looking at he's in his scuba diving outfit, which it's like we're laughing about and showing it, but it's just look at where it's come to, man. Like it's just, hey, we need a new idea. I'm gonna go searching for golf balls.
Everybody's doing everything.
Hey, brother, we got the drones now. Let's go scuba diving. Let's go down. Everyone's going up. Let's go. Let's get wet. He's sitting there.
I love that. Everybody's going up. Let's go down.
we can't beat this guy. God. We can't really catch him.
No, he's.
You guys are flying birds. I'm flying fishes, man.
We got submarines, bitch.
Yep. Yeah. I'm done, man. I'm going aquatic.
It's good to see him at the Waste Management. It's good to see his guy Sky.
He's such a nice guy, Grant. And that's 99% of his success is that it comes through on his videos. And you want to have some like bad blood and some rivalries in this game because everyone is so nice to each other. He genuinely is a nice guy. You feel bad making fun of him. It's like,
oh yeah,
and he's just fucking got the greatest swing. So it's like you can't really say anything about him. He's crushing it. It's like partners, Phil Mickelson. It's nuts. I'd kill to have Phil as my partner. Lefty, you kidding me? I love Phil Mickelson. Unbelievable. I watch those videos now. I'm like, fucking Phil Mickelson's a YouTube partner now. What the hell's going on? Watching him hit flop shots at Bethpage was like, that's like what got me into like loving golf.
You guys had him cornered in a DM section at some point, but it just didn't come to fruition.
We were all around it. It just kept hitting us.
We had him, man.
He kept hitting us with the like, once I'm able to talk about all this, I can't wait to come on and talk about it. It was like he just kept hitting us with that.
He made us think we were going to be the Oprah of golf. Like we were going to sit him down in a dark lit like mahogany room, and we were going to expose all the people that had come after him. And then I don't even know if he knows that happened.
No, it's also like there's we've talked about like doing this podcast twice a week for 8 years. It's like we have takes and opinions and we break stuff down. It's like these other general like YouTube golf. None of that's going on, man. It's all smiles and hanging and happy, and they're laughing about how awesome Liv is and the high flyers, and this is such a everything's great, everything's perfect, everything's so nice. It's like we kind of sit here and fucking just bicker about stuff that's and like. And you got to have some opinion on this.
Alex Bush
it's
putting
like,
out
Jesus.
fucking takes and people telling me to go kill myself. It's like, God. Yeah, sure. If it was all just fucking roses and wedges. But this is the sauce for us. This is our our ingredient, man. This is how we make our sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Play a little summer wind, nice arugula salad. Come on now.
Mm-hmm.
Yum.
All right. Hell of a show.
Yeah.
I think that's all I have, gentlemen. We did some voicemails.
It's good, man. It's a solid show. 2 hours. You're giving people, because I think towards the end of the year last year, there wasn't much golf going on. It's like December where we got a couple like 1 hour shows. You get some feedback, people being like, we want to hear a little bit more that's going on in the world of golf, in your guys' world. You got a bunch of ads. You don't want it to be on top of each other. You give them a nice 2 hour show. It's a healthy number right there, fellas. A couple different segments. It's a good show.
I like
Great
it, man.
show.
I had a good time.
Yeah.
Me too. I had a lovely time. Hope everybody had a nice time listening.
When's this video coming out? Because we keep saying this week. Is it coming out tomorrow? Is it coming out today, like Tuesday, Alex Bush, or Wednesday?
I think it's Wednesday.
Okay.
Got it.
Keep your eyes open out there.
So tomorrow.
Tomorrow
Morning, I bet. Beef. Have beef for lunch.
Or for breakfast.
All right. Hell of a show. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks for our guys behind the scenes. As always, sponsors, everything that makes this clock tick. We appreciate it. We'll be back on Thursday for our second show of the week. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.